cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white.
everyone, welcome to Simracersworld TV for another season of Virtual Belcar Series here on the channel. My name is Hasse, Rømer. I'm joined by Jack Johns, and we are at the Hockenheimring for the opening round of the 2021 Season 2. Can I safely say, the best series that we have on the channel? One of the best series around in Europe. The Virtual Belcar Series never ceases to amaze me. 4 classes of action, plenty of new things to come. Of course, we will take you through these, and a new face in the commentary booth as well. Jack, a pleasure to have you along, and what are your expectations for tonight's racing here?
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I'm looking forward to this. Expectations, honestly, I have no idea what to expect. I can tell you that there is going to be there's going to be a lot of action. I think that is clear with the amount of cars that are out there. Up to 40 cars on this little track. We're at the Hockenheimring, like you said. And this circuit, this is a fantastic circuit for racing. It was a really nice addition to iRacing recently. It's a fairly new track to the sim. Official lobbies haven't been too kind to me. I don't know about yourself, but I'm sure with the professional driving standards, we won't see that sort of chaos. The hairpin. Let's talk about that hairpin, Hasse. You got it's a heavy braking zone. It's one of the sharpest hairpins that I know of. This corner that they're approaching now, they're coming down this back straight, and this is where the carnage is going to happen. If there's going to be major crashes, I think that's the spot to do it. It's the heaviest braking zone. It's clearly an overtaking spot after a long straight, and sometimes people just get it wrong.
Very much so. It's a technical point indeed on a very, very good circuit. Really invites to racing. Plenty of opportunities to get positions and the overtaking done out there on the tarmac. But I think also we've got a field full of experience, I want to say, and I think we'll see some decent standards most of the way through. Of course, can't give any guarantees at this point. But speaking of changes as well, of course, Hockenheim, a new addition to iRacing, recently added. So it's the first time we'll be racing here in this series. We've also got a complete makeover of the Belcar 1 class, if you will, the BLC 1, the quickest class, the top class, if you will. It's what used to be the field of radicals, as Nolan Lemire gets himself out of the way in a little bit of a creative fashion there, but does a pretty good job of it, to be fair. But just to touch up on that, they've been replaced now by the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 machines that we're currently watching. Added with a little bit of extra weight, a little bit of a power reduction as well on their BOPs that will keep them relatively close to the Porsche Cup classes that we've grown accustomed to and know so well and love indeed. So interesting to see just what that is going to mean for the dynamics of the series. Is that Nolan trying to get a very good run here for a fast qualifying lap? Mind you, 2 minutes of qualifying left, and the standings are, well, close at the moment, to say the least. We've got 8 Lambos, 8 BLC 1 cars within half a second atop the field. Looking down here, of course, the reigning champs in the JWS number 11 car. They're, of course, back. And just how this season is going to go for them. Will they see any challenge? Last season, Jack,
parked over there.
Someone's parked in the middle of the back straight. Or not in the middle, but sort of on the exit there. Maybe just I think it could be a botched up lap, and then maybe a quick hop back to the pits, because they realize that they might actually be able to get another lap in if they can cross the finish line before the checkered flag drops. A minute and a half left, but it is the 11 car leading the 999 machine, and then third in the Porsche Cup class BLC 2 at the moment. Sim Formula Europe with Ward Mallets, who is driving in the qualifying session here. Of course, we have GT4 action again here with a new addition to the field as well, in form of the McLaren. Was it the 520S? I get confused by the McLaren models nowadays.
Do you know what? I bet chat knows more than we do about that car. It is. I'm pretty sure it's the. Well, it could be 420. The numbers are all over the place with the McLarens.
They are.
It's like they just make them up. Make them up as they go along.
Well, it's
I'll tell you what, leave that with me because I'm annoyed at myself for not knowing.
Yeah, but I feel the same way, so at least we're on the same boat there. And last but not least, going through the classes, we have the TCRs that as well has brought so much. And a thing that I'm really looking forward to, Jack, is seeing just how the iRacing update of recent that seems to have fixed a lot of the car contact physics and has made it easier for the car to remain in control when banging doors, as you call it. I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight, and hopefully so it's not going to result in too much carnage. Olivier Boultink, I think, has pulled off his last lap of this qualifying session as well.
Hopefully not. It's the 570S, McLaren 570S. So
570S.
Nearly there.
Nearly there. Close indeed.
Yeah, and you got the Audi RS3 out there as well in the lower class, the green stripe as it would be. BLC4, as you can see on the top of the screen, in the green stripe on the left-hand side. I will say that it normally takes me a good maybe hour and a half of watching the racing to decide on my favourite livery. I love choosing liveries. I love to see how creative people get. But my eye was immediately drawn to that. It was Nolan's car, the Valkyrie eSport X car that we saw. He's not out there at the moment, but I'm sure we'll see him in the race, as he is currently on pole. Like you said, heading that really close field in BLC1. But that car was just stunning with the chrome blue on the side. Love a bit of chrome. Not sure about you, Hasse, but that's my preference, is a little bit of chrome. Not too much, just a smart amount.
Yeah, those words could have come out my mouth, Jack. A little bit. Oh, contact here for Fabrice Cornelis, the reigning champ from last season and the season before that as well, to be honest. And that team has been so strong indeed. Having a bit of contact here. I think we're having just a few drivers completing their laps. Let's see here. Senna Hulsmans is out there, and so is Tim Jacobs completing his lap just about now. Will he improve on 9th place? Do not think that it was possible for him. And Senna Hulsmans coming into the pits. We've got Steve Kleis and another Porsche there. That's a GT4 machine. But Steve Kleis is in the number 3 911 Cup car here for Eagle Race Simulators Esports P Cup.
That's a stunning little shot to see the difference between those two Porsches, actually, because they're normally cars. The Porsche is one of those cars where they all look the same. But in that case, not so much.
I'd be careful what I say there. You might get yourself very unpopular very quickly among the Porsche fans, Jack. Lord knows.
I do it every time. But they've got a new one on the way. They have got a new one on the way, which I'm excited for on iRacing. The brand new GT3. And it didn't take long. Hasse, if you have a look in chat, we've got that comment that we were waiting for.
We were indeed waiting for that comment. Chess, I'm afraid, is not available on weekends because he has... Who's Chess? Yeah, that's a good question. Who is Chess, actually? Who is he? You tell me, Hans. No.
Who is
just kidding, obviously.
Of course.
Chess, our very good friend and, dare I say, mentor, the wizard, as I usually call him, because he is pretty much a wizard. We got the grid here, but I'll just answer the question and finish it real quickly. Chess has... you could say gotten promoted in the world of commentary and is now doing his thing in real life. Obviously, this is real life as well, but with actual motor racing out there in the real world, traveling around Europe and doing commentary. And that sadly means for us that he can't be with us here tonight. So you'll have to do it with me and Jack. Hope that'll be okay. I have a feeling that we'll have our fun nonetheless here tonight. Anyway, we have the grid on display, and I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can because there are a lot of cars indeed. Nolan Lemarais for Valkyrie Esports X on pole position ahead of Eli Goldstein, as well for Valkyrie Esports by the Francorchamps Miniatures, and that is a really cool team sponsor to have, one of the coolest makers of model cars. So sweet to see. Fabrice Cornelis, reigning champ. Simtag E-Team number 4 machine in 3rd place ahead of Scott McFall in the Sim District. GT3. Maxime van den Hove for GT Racing ahead of Jiri Crispin for Fast Racing by Extreme in 6th. Jarno Hau for Totalplan Racing in 7th ahead of Senna Hulsmans for Flemish. Tim Jacobs and Matthias Maas. That's the 5th row of cars. And on the 6th rows, that's Didier Dexters and Dirk bouts. Just scrolling down the grid to see the next drivers, we got Cemil Yagisoglu ahead of Robbie DB in 13th and 14th place, the 7th row, if you will. Then Jeremy Hessels and Carlos Maestro. What a nice name. We might see some mastery from his side indeed here. And then Nathan van Kerkhove in 17th place, leading the Porsche Cup machines Bodewijn Kuster. Christoph Raas, Ward Malach for Sim Formula Europe, that is in 3rd place ahead of Ricardo Michaelewski. Steve Kleiss, Ruben van Buel and Robin DeVille behind. And another scroll is needed, so it shall be 25th overall, Olivier van Herk for the Tata Network Esports ahead of Jelle Verstraeten, Abel Koert, and Sven Bollen, Lucas Romano, Jeremy de Boever, and we're just gonna hop down to the to the GT4s, through the GT4s, down to the TCRs, because otherwise I am gonna get under some serious time pressure. Olivier Bultink leading pole position there ahead of John Bruins, Ronnie Heyman, Hendrik de Grape, Nils de Kuiper, Thijs van den Berge, and Bart Lievens. 40 cars, as you said. It is going to be a huge mix of the field here early days, and we're looking forward to it. We're going green in just about a second, and another season of Belcar racing is just about to go underway here. Mind you, safety car peels off to the right to the pit lane, and the drivers are not allowed to go before they see the green flag, so no early running, which you see very orderly here from Nolan Lemery. And there it is, green flag for Hockenheim, and the 2021 season of the Virtual Belcar Series is underway. Season 2, that is, of course, and turn 1, a crucial point. That way you win the race, but you could certainly lose it here. The Lambos are through nice and clean, it seems, and no big shuffling here now, just waiting for the rest of the field to come piling through. And amazingly, Jack, I think we've had everyone pretty much safely through turn 1 there. It's a huge field, but they've managed to do it.
Yeah, amazing skill from all the drivers there. Turn 1 is one of those corners where you need to play it smart, and you need to effectively be willing to give a little bit of space and back out of moves. If you know someone's going to send it out the inside, you need to let them have it. But then we're coming down to that hairpin that we mentioned earlier. There's a move there. Oh, there's a bit of contact going around the hairpin between those two. That's going to lose them 2 places, as one of the Lambos goes right around the outside of those two. And then you've got the Porsches still sticking with those cars up ahead, and the GT4s. This is madness as we get some more tags round. That's one of the yellow Porsches. Oh, I missed the number there. He's flashing his headlights. Not happy about that in the GT4 class, as we are on with Jelle Verstraeten coming around Sector 2. And here are the Lambos up ahead. So the Valkyrie Esports guys split now down the middle by Fabrice Cornelis and the Simtag E team, number 4, up into 2nd place.
Yeah, indeed. A great start. A good start, indeed. We will have a chance to catch up on the replays once the dust has settled. Hans, I'll do my best to replicate the bad puns of Chaz. I might even make him a little bit better, Lord knows. But Nolan Lemery, I might also make him a lot worse, that said. But sometimes, with those kind of things, worse is better. Like, less is more. It's that kind of philosophy we're working with here. Nolan Lemery still leading. Fabrice Cornelis having taken a position there on Oscar Pai for Valkyrie Esports. One of the new teams in here that has really fielded a lot of cars throughout the field in all classes, I think. And it's very, very nice to see. Matthias Maas with a move up the inside here, and it looks like a stout one indeed. And there's not a lot of grip on the outside. I think Davy Souffleurs finds himself struggling there.
Yes,
Nathan
his tyres were suffering. Souffleurs.
Yeah, he was suffering indeed. We've already begun. Jack Johns has picked up the baton. You've picked up the baton well there, Jack. That's right in the spirit. Oh, and there's been a change for the lead. Here's Fabrice Cornelis has sent it up the inside in the hairpin. And I think he's going to make it stick with a long run down here in the back straight. He's going to have the inside of the right-hander sweeping one into the stadium section. But look at this, Lemery is still on the inside, still sort of side by side here. This one is not over yet. Oh, going very wide. Excellent racing. Look at this.
Oh, look, he's going to hold the lead, is Lemery. Look at this. And now he's cut in front. He's kept the lead. Like you said, amazing racing from the two. But I tell you what, Cornelis is looking real confident in the early laps of this. There's 3 hours to go, and these guys are really not holding back. It's really tight between those top 3, and the Valkyrie Esports team's closing up, but it's gonna let these two here, we've got 4th and 5th, really closing up now to this lead 3 battle. So the more they fight, 5th and 6th that is, the more they fight, the more everybody else gets to join in. Amazing stuff with 2 hours and 56 minutes to go, and they're swapping lead like it's a sprint race. It's madness.
Absolutely incredible to see. Now we'll have a chance just to catch up with those, well, a couple of incidents we saw before at the hairpin. I think there's that contact before. That's Lucas Romano in the 81 for RP Motorsports. I think it is the 209 as well. And just who that is, I think that's Kevin van der Wielen as well, who's had a bit of a problem for Decipit Racing Team. And that's a poor start for them, of course. Proper, genuine championship contenders they would be, but Decipit getting turned around. And I think he comes off the worst because the entirety of the TCR field, oh, and he collects the Flemish car, and the 69 gets sent on his roof as well. What a poor start. That's the Flemish red car, I think, of Hendrik de Grave. Carlos Maestro has had an epic, I don't know if it's epic, but he's had a crash. That much is certain. Some kind of venture off-road. Oh, and he's got damage already here, and the car is not behaving like he expects it to. And the rear just goes around. Now back with the lead of the race here, still close as ever, Jack. We've been racing for 5 minutes. Feels more like 25 seconds to me, and there has been action all over here.
Yeah, look at this. That's a good 6-7 cars still bumper to bumper this early on. And we've got, like you said, there's plenty of time. Pit stop strategies are going to come into play at some point. I highly doubt anyone's going to make their fuel tank last for 3 hours. If they do, they're hacking. But then, yeah, real close racing up front. Lemre still in the lead. Cornelis has kind of backed off a little bit, but he's not really fighting for that lead anymore. Maybe he's just going to sit behind and just kind of wait for an opportunity to present itself. But he's got to be careful because Oscar Pai, right behind him, he's in a teammate sandwich right now, and that's kind of not a good place to be because it means that those two, well, I'm not sure if they're talking to each other during the race, but they can work together to try and get a 1-2 here at the moment. But a long way to go here at Hockenheim.
Indeed, a long way, but the keen viewer will have noticed that the race distance has been shortened as well. We were racing 3 hours instead of the usual 4 hours, so expect maybe things to be a little more action-packed and a little more rushed throughout the race, although I still expect the final hour of these races to really come together and become fireworks. It's what we've seen on so many occasions. Fabrice Cornelis, mind you, has been so dominant over the course of the past seasons here, as they've been winning and winning and winning in the Radicals, when we had the Radicals as the Belcar 1 class. And it's absolutely great to see that the competition really has stepped up the game now. Of course, Valkyrie Esports new to the series, but look at GTE Racing here. Joel Eulenbroek, very, very, very competitive as well, alongside Robbie Janssens and Scott McFall, who's lost 2 places, though still very much in the mix and in contention there. 6th place, a little bit of a gap down to the next group of cars. Now, more interestingly here, Bodewein Kuster is first, of course, in class. And I say of course, but we are getting used to seeing this picture as well. At least long-time or long-term viewers of this series will know what I mean. But interestingly, he's followed by 4 Belcar 1 cars, and they're battling for position on track, so he doesn't have to give it up. And this just shows just how close they've come to one another here, the new Belcar 1s and the more traditional Belcar 2s, the 911 Cup cars. Very, very similar on pace. When looking into it, it's just about 1.5 seconds separating per lap, and that can make it very hard to overtake indeed. Now here, I think the overtake will come from Davy Souffeliers, and he will no longer suffer at the rear end of the fast, yet a little bit slower. Oh, and he goes a little bit too deep, and Kuster just goes straight through, and that might open up the door as well for Heremans in behind, and I think it even does. Through the long parabolica down towards the hairpin. Let's see here. Kenny Heremans is in front for PSR. And the question is if he's going to stay there. But he's in a very good position to get this done. All about just judging the braking right, and he does that to perfection in the number 1 car. Takes that position and up into 12th place. Just having a look further down here. Robin de Ville for Flemish in the Porsche Cayman GT4 machine. He's leading Thomas Stockmans for Tata in the 84 BMW M4. And then Bram Bellemans for the Brab team, which is also very nice to see coming back to the series. Then it's Kurt van Honager and Jürgen Gulicher for JJ Motorsports. Michael Fernando for Mighty Pink Panther Racing. And that is a great team name if ever I've heard one.
Yeah, that's a good livery as well. I hadn't seen that one in practice or qualifying. Bright pink, easy to spot, and a team name to match. I can't stop thinking about that rejoin, really. Earlier, as it says, a bit of a dropout in the timing screen there for Olivier Boltink, who is in the lead of the Audi class, the BL4 class. But yeah, you've got to feel a little bit for Hendrik de Grave. He done nothing wrong, and he just came round, and then there was a Porsche blocking the track, and around they go. So it'll be interesting to see where they finish after, if they can get back up any kind of order in the time that we've got left. We're back on board with Nolan here in the lead. The 219 Lamborghini looking back on Cornelis in second place. Look at the speed they're going down here. You can see the speed in the bottom right. 240 kilometers an hour, going even more before we get to the braking zone. So nearly 245. And look how close he's getting. Oh, a little bit of a nudge. Just a tiny tap. Come on, move along. Let's get moving. Oscar Pie still right behind as well, but almost trying to form a gap between the next group of cars. So they've stopped battling. They're no longer going side by side, and now those three can start to pull away from the rest of the train. Yeah,
good point. I think they figured out rather quickly that their pace is close enough for them to just settle in to a rhythm. And of course, it's going to be a tough ask to be battling side by side for 3 hours. And chances are you won't win the race if you do so, but that touch of the gravel there is a very, very dangerous place to do. You just see the car getting unsettled. And of course, skillful drivers are required for keeping control over the situation. And here, Boudewijn Kuster still alongside the Lambos, doing a very good job of keeping up with Kenny Heremans in front. It's impressive to see.
Yeah, I was going to say Heremans has got through, but it looks like Soufaliers is still kind of stuck behind a little bit. But like you said, the pace real similar between the top end of the BL2 field and the bottom end, or the lower end of the BL1 cars. These guys coming around turn 2 now onto that main sort of back straight, the biggest overtaking opportunity here at Hockenheim. So they're in the slipstream. This will be a good indication of whether, let's see if he lifts off down the end of this straight. Are they just playing the reserve game and following each other, or is he going to try and make a move? It doesn't look like he's closing, actually. So the car in front having a decent top end. Didn't look like he was that aggressive on the brakes, so I would say driving quite conservatively. But then again, we saw them go around sector 3. They are pushing enough to touch that gravel, and that means they're taking risks, even when they don't need to be really this early on.
Yeah, I think a fair bit of lifting and coasting there, trying to conserve the fuel, because these drivers know that these races can indeed be won in the pits. And look at Fabrice Cornelis getting close here. Oh, and he's going to send it. And that's a little bit of a poor sector there for Nolan Lemaire. And a little bit of a surprise as well to see that Fabrice Cornelis getting such a good chance there, almost side by side, well, very much side by side, but I was meant to say almost contact. I think they did actually rub ever so slightly, but this time around Fabrice Cornelis gets it done, and he's into the race lead here. Lap 7, 11 and a half minutes done, and something we've seen on a fair few occasions before, Fabrice Cornelis leading a race in the Virtual Belcar Series, but this time very, very challenged indeed from the Valkyrie drivers behind. And don't forget Erlenbroek here in the GT racing car, the 99 machine, alongside Robert Janssens and Scott McFall for respectively Fast Racing and the Sim District GT3 by BMS Vibe Esports. Both of those doing a very, very good job. And I actually think some of those cars that are just holding back might be doing a little bit of a job there to conserve their tires as well, and not just the fuel. And we could see them making a very strong return. Look at this now, Erlenbroek, the top 3 got slowed down ever so slightly.
He wants that lead back. Look, he does want that lead back. He's not holding off here. He's going to try and go around the outside as they go side by side into the hairpin. Is he going to do it? He's got the nose in front still. Oh my God, he's on the curb. He's using all the track available. This is going to put him on the outside for the fast right coming up. And there's an Audi in front of him as well. So this will be interesting. Can he still get that nose in? Or is he going to have to give this place up? He's very... Oh, that's tight there. They nearly made contact. There's an Audi and there's contact there. Oh, Cornelis straight into one of the back markers. This gives Lemaire the run around the outside of the same move that Lemaire did on... Sorry, Cornelis did on Lemaire the first time round. And they've swapped back in the same part of the track with the Audis getting involved. What a move. Opportunistic. They both broke late. Oh, no. De Cooper just... Well, not his fault. He did move out the way, but they come flying in.
And now look at Oscar Paya here. He's trying to get past as well on the number 4 Simtag ET machine, and
there's
the
contact there.
Audi's somewhat's gone off there. That the 7 of Rømer Jansen for fast racing by Extreme Kart in the tires, I'm afraid. And just what happened there, we're gonna have another look, because there was indeed contact. Oh, it's between, I think that was a Scott McFall, and I'm not completely sure that was. I think that was indeed Scott McFall. Just the slightest of nudges that sure did unsettle his car, and not much to do for him there this time around. I think
small misjudgment. I think there as he kind of went to look up the inside of that final section, but the Audi's still there, moving out of people's way. But it's just I think that was just unfortunate. But it has resulted, as you said, it was a big off there as he got sent out into the wall. Definitely worse off, obviously. He's worse off. Well, I'm losing my words because of how much action just happened in that last lap. But yeah, not what we want to see, but a racing incident, I think, from my point of view.
Just outbraking himself ever so slightly, I think, Fabrice Cornelis in a very, very pressured situation. And from my perspective, that just looked like a little bit of an overload maybe for him. That's so much happening in such a short amount of time that maybe expect him to be able to cope with such a situation. He is a very proficient driver indeed. He's held on to second place. I don't think he picked up too much damage from the contact there, at least not from what we can see on our screen here, and he doesn't seem to have lost a lot of pace either, but the battle very much alive still. Oscar Pai, I think, would have loved to have gotten through on that occasion, but he didn't. Erlenbrook is holding position, keeping up very well with the cars ahead, and I think must be pretty happy about not being too engaged in the battle up ahead. It seems it's often the best place to be for someone at the back of a group.
Ooh,
where you can sort of control the pace. Oh, and a little bit of contact again there, and it's the number 4 again. Fabrice Cornelis under serious pressure, and this time I think Erlenbrook might get the chance to get past on Oscar Pai. Those three are basically touching one another at one time, and they might go to 3 wide here as well into the hairpin. Oh my word.
Cornelis gets so defensive down the straight. He's doing all that he can to hold this position. He's really throwing that Lamborghini about. I think he's going to do it. You know, he's on the inside, and it looks like Oscar Pai is going to lose out here potentially to third place GTE racing car. And then look at this, the number 99 has gained a position. They're coming around the fast right. Is he going to try and send it up the inside? He needs to be careful here, does Cornelis? No. Oh, but look at Oscar Pai. Oh, there's contact, and he's not. That's going to lose him out another position. Oscar Pai falling down the order. We said there was going to be a little bit of door banging, but this is the result. If it gets a little bit too feisty, a slight loss of traction on the rear, and you lose 3 positions in a couple of corners. Oscar Pai trying to pass now the Audis down in 5th place.
Yeah, and the Audis, I think, when they see 4 Lamborghinis coming out like that, they would do pretty well to try and stay on the outside and out of the way. I think the Belcar 1 drivers would appreciate that as well, but of course they can't disappear completely, and that's what the TCR that had the contact with Fabrice Cornelis before found out as well. That was, of course, Niels de Kuiper.
Quite a seems like a quiet race in the GT4 field, as we still see him coming through the Audis. But you've got Robin Deville. Oh, this gets so close with these back markers, and it's going to be like this for hours. We're only 17 minutes into the race. They're already lapping the Audis. It's going to be GT4s next, which are going to be slightly harder to pass, I think, just as they're a little bit faster. But the lead fight, Oscar Pai, you've got to say, I wonder what he's thinking. Would he be frustrated this early on, or does he know? He can still see everyone still in front of him. You've got to say, though, Cornelis, now look at the gap between the lead. It's over 3 seconds. So Lemeray running away now, and the back marker's kind of helping him a bit. There he is up the road. And then you can see the McLarens as well up the road as well. So the GT4s aren't far from this Lambo pack of the lead.
Oh, very much so. They're making their way through the field now, Jack, and it's as the longer we get into the race, the more spread we'll see on the classes. And at some point, what we usually see, at least with these 4-class endurance races, is that there isn't really a free spot on the track, and that usually tends to happen around half an hour to 40 minutes into the races. And from there on, as I said, it's just hard to find just one clean lap without traffic. which is a rhythm you really have to get into here. Joel Erlenbrook still doing a fantastic job there up along the top runners. Scott McFall very much still in contention as well. Oscar Pai had a catastrophe of a lap there just a few minutes ago. He lost 2-3 positions and is down into 5th. So that's, of course, 2 positions if I just cared to do my math, which, of course, I did. And I figured out I was wrong. But that is, of course, the fate of being a commentator. A lot of the time you're going to be wrong, and sometimes you're going to be right. And when you're right, it's just about enjoying it. Anyways, we're enjoying the racing here as well. I hope you guys are out there as well. I haven't even had the chance, really, to say a warm welcome to everyone watching along on YouTube, on Twitch, and on our Facebook page as well. And a very warm thanks to all the sponsors of the series. You can find links to their web pages in the description down below. And with that said, what opening, well, almost 20 minutes of racing we've had here, Jack. It's been incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable. And we got some clever viewers as well. People knowing why. Oh, look at this. This is Matthias Maas coming round. Is there an incident here? A bit of a crash. Send up the inside. This is the final section. He spins. There wasn't contact there. That was just a loss of control. Maybe caught out. Felt like he got pinched a little bit and just lost traction on the rear. But yeah, GT4's coming into play now with the lead pack. Something I noticed people saying about the sort of the Lamborghinis being quite aggressive on the overtakes, but quite rightly so. Someone was also replied to that saying they don't want to be stepped out of that slipstream chain. Slipstream, we haven't quite touched on it yet, actually. It's a massive factor around a circuit like this. The length of that straight alone is ridiculous. And as we said, with Lemeray being 3 seconds up the road, if they let...
there's been a major incident here, I'm afraid. Yeah. Oscar Pai with the BMW of Jürgen Gülicher. And let's see. Oh, he gets touched. Oh, that's heavy into the wall.
That's clumsy. That was clumsy, and that's a big off. That's got a... That's... Look at the damage. Look at the damage on that wall, concrete wall. And it just looked like a misjudgment there on the Lambo cutting in front of the Beamer. Maybe a bit of frustration from being held up through this middle sector, flashing his lights as he's passing, and then look, cuts back across.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't really what I intended to do. I wanted to put it on slow motion. We'll have third time's the charm, they say, and we're just gonna have another look here. I just want to say, I don't really think it takes two to tangle. It takes two to tango, but you can see the BMW ever so slightly coming away from the outside of the track as well. So both of the cars just coming slightly across, causing them to touch, but it's a huge touch with the wall there. And well done to Oscar Pai for holding his brakes and not causing an even bigger incident with the cars behind, who, to be fair to them as well, did a very, very good job of avoiding those two cars having their incident up ahead.
It was a classic scenario of one zigged, the other zagged, and then they ended up both going out, really. I think the Lambo looked way more mashed up than the BMW, but the BMW obviously taking a little bit of a flight as well. This is Cornelis, still in second place. Lemeray, 2.5 seconds up the road, so the gap's closing slightly. He's out of slipstream, but you've got to say, Cornelis still looks like he has the pace. Jolenbroek in third, still right behind, and McFall behind him in fourth. So that order not changing. And we're carving through the GT4 field. In terms of them, Robin DeVille still in the lead, gained 4 places from the start for Flemish Sim Sports. So looking good in the GT4 class. Boudewijn Kuster. How did I do with that name? He's the leader of the BL2 class. It's up 7 places in that field, in the Porsche field.
Yeah, and I think that is due to some of the bad luck we've had with the BLC1 cars, the Lambos, that have been involved in incidents. Boudewijn Kuster having driven a superb race for the opening 20 minutes here. And actually knocking on the door of the overall top 10 here as well, which is pretty incredible considering that we've got over 15, we actually got 17 BLC1 cars.
Yeah, he's having a cracking race so far. He's the number 11. Down in the RS3 field, BL4 in the Audis, we've got Olivier Boltink there's again a lot of position gains. Again, like you said, because of the carnage, really. But Olivier Boltink is leading the way there. This is Lemeray in that beautiful Valkyrie Esport X livery. Really eye-catching. It's shocking, actually, because normally the brighter colours are the ones that catch your eye, like the Pink Panthers that we saw earlier as we go on board with Jolenbroek here, the number 99 car coming round the final sector. But yeah, black with blue, chrome and red really catches the eye. And then you've got Cornelis there in that sort of rasta coloured Lamborghini with the red front into the yellow and green and then the black at the back of the car. But Jolenbroek here really trying to close down. You've got to say he's been keeping his nose clean a little bit, keeping quiet, possibly fuel saving like you said, but still well within the lead battle here as they both try and close down to Lemeray up front.
Yeah, but Lemeray creeping away here. You can see half a second faster than Cornelis on this lap alone. So Cornelis must have had some kind of mistake, some kind of problem, maybe some traffic slowing him down on that lap. It's hard to say when you don't catch it in the moment, but certainly some time lost, and that might have aided Jolenbroek onto his tail as well. And with the slipstream, you'll find it's hard to break away as well. But it's surprising to see that all of a sudden Fabrice Cornelis looks human indeed. And I say that because over the past few seasons in the Radicals, him and his teammates have been absolutely untouchable. No one's really been able to threaten them long term, and it's surely changing of the tides that we are witnessing here. Martin Deckens in 10th place for Dynamics MD Design in the 27 car.
Having a quiet race by the look of it is Deckens in the Dynamics car. You can see the cars up the road. Doesn't seem to be quite closing. There's another GT4 on his way, so he is going to get a pass done on someone soon. But then, like you said, Kuster, first in the next class, the BL2 class, he's chasing him down. This is Henrik de Grave, who we saw have a big crash earlier, chasing down Mike Goosens in the 54 car. These Audis do look good. Look at they've got a nice matte liveries, actually. We don't often see cars use matte in their liveries. So the matte black, very nice. I like that yellow, red and black car. That's for sure.
Very much so. So actually, the situation at the moment, Jack, is that the closest three cars that we have on track is indeed the battle for second, third, and fourth place in BLC1. We're still Fabrice Cornelis ahead of Joel Jolenbroek and Scott McFall. In the Sim District GT3. Lap. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so that's something. Scott McFall maybe having just held back early days. Some of these teams might be running strategies that are a little more elaborate than what you usually see. At least for shorter races, of course, the 3-hour race, what you could say time or distance or whatever you want to call it, it's in that zone right in between what is a long sprint race and a relatively short endurance race, because of course 3 hours is a long time, but many of these drivers will be relatively used to dealing with races of a much longer duration, 12 or even up to 24 hours. So in comparison to that, it's not that much of an effort in terms of endurance, and I think it's also contributed to what we saw in the opening 20 minutes of this race. Now getting closer to the 30-minute marker, and the race seems to have settled down, and as I say that, Nolan Lemeray finds himself spinning out the lead.
Oh, he was driving so dominantly. Was that a mistake by himself? Has he got involved with someone else? This is Tim Greven, the number 30 car. He's just got over the curb. Rear end's gone into the wall. That was unfortunate. Little racing incident there. And then, like you said, here we go with Lemeray. This is what we want to see. Oh, same thing. He's done it by himself. Just dropped the car on the curb. Did he touch the grass there? I'm not sure, but he's gone round. And that, look at everyone come flying through. He's lost loads of positions. Lemeray now down in 6th place. Fabrice Cornelis may look human, but he's leading again. And he's pulling a gap on the cars behind. As you can see, Jolenbroek coming under pressure from Scott McFall as they're going side by side down this back straight now towards the hairpin. Jolenbroek is on the inside here of this shot. Ooh, they nearly touched there. Scott McFall moved over to the right. There we go. It looks like a done deal, but that Porsche could get involved on the exit. Look, there's a GT4 car. He does pull out the number 99 car and keeps that position.
Yeah. That's always the balance that you need to find as a driver in a race like this. The balance between aggressiveness and holding back. And you need to be very, very quick on deciding whether to do one or the other thing And often you find the worst thing is if you get stuck in between two decisions, and that's very often a cause of incidents as well. Because that's when drivers get a lot harder to predict on their actions. As I was just about to say, the race has settled down, but this does not look like a race that has settled down any sort of bit for me. And here goes Scott McFall trying to gain on traffic here. Might just get a good run on Erlenbrook, but no, he gets held up by the TCR there at the apex of the corner. And
that is what you call threading the needle right there. 2 classes they just weaved through in a twisty section as well. That's impressive stuff.
Very much so. It's huge battles we're seeing, and Tim Greven, 9th place. Just on the tail of Kenny Harriman's, and incredibly so that he can be on the tail there. That machine, the Vapor Shop RDR car, has certainly taken some damage here.
Yeah, he had a massive off that we just watched, didn't he? And it into the wall, bounced back out, and now he's still chasing down cars and racing for position. He hasn't come in and got it fixed. Vapor Shop clearly doing something well with that car. Very, very much so still working. This is Carlos Maestro in the 677 car, currently down in 16th place overall. Or is that in class? That's in class, sorry. 16th place in class. Chasing down, who's he looking to get past? Nathan Van Kerkhoff. Is that right?
That's Kerkhoven, but it's close. Well, you'll get proficient with your Dutch and Flemish names over a few of these races, I'm sure. Of course.
If not, chat is more than welcome to bully me for it. I welcome it. Not too much, actually. Don't completely destroy my career, but at the same time, yeah, I will try and get used to them as much as I can.
Still Cornelis, who's trying to build up a gap on Joel Erlenbrook. The GT racing car doing a very good job of staying right there in contention. And it seems Scott McFall, who not too long ago set the fastest lap, has have come off the throttle just ever so slightly. Or might have been overheating the tires. That is hard to say. But Cornelis now leads after the solo incident of Nolan Lemeray, who was looking so strong indeed. Oh, and Davis Suffaliers has been off and just picks up too much speed into the corner, into the left-hander in the stadium section.
Still Suffaliering out there at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is. It's not been a good opening half hour for him so far. He would have been hoping for better luck, I think, but still plenty of time to make a comeback. Tim Greven beginning to lose touch with Martin, or that's not Martin Deckens, I'm sorry. That is, of course, Kenny Hermans up in front. Martin Deckens is right behind him and actually beginning to catch up to the car ahead of him. And we could see a battle developing up there. And look at this, now they're closing up in the battle for the lead yet again. Eulenbrook is really putting on the pressure. And Fabrice Cornelis is really having to work for his... work for the food here today, you could say. And it's been great to watch. 30 minutes has gone already of this race, and it's flown by with the action we've had. Incredibly so, and I'm a little bit surprised to see this actually, Jack, that the spread of the field is as big as it is in the GT4 class and the TCRs as well, because usually we see some very, very close racing in there as well. But right now it's all happening in the top 3 in the BLC 1 car class, the Belcar 1 class, I'm sorry, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 machines, and Fabrice Cornelis leading the way still, but under some serious pressure here.
They keep sorting themselves out into a nice little gap, actually. They keep separating themselves by about half a second, and that's decent enough to get slipstream, not close enough to make the pass, as it does look like, as I say that, Eulenbrook looks closer than ever this time round as they come down this back straight. But what I was going to say, the half a second gap gives them enough time to sort of weave their way through the traffic, but now they've got their own class to lap in front of them as they're going side by side, but Eulenbrook's on the wrong side of the car as Cornelis holds the inside. The back marker is there up ahead. Oh, and he's round! No! And that's the leader round. Cornelis has gone with that back marker. They're both facing the wrong way. That's too many leaders we've seen out of this race. He's flashing his headlights to let him know. Down the inside, Cornelis was holding the lead. He looks like he'd opened the door, and then the other Lamborghini just cuts across. They've both gone round as he gets tagged by Eulenbrook behind, but now Eulenbrook up into the lead. Scott McFall in second, whilst Cornelis comes down tumbles down the order. He's now back behind Lemeray, who's in 5th and 6th. These two drivers. There's Lemeray as he goes up the road.
That is what happens in these close quarter battles. And especially when lapping traffic as well. You could see that Brezan Cornelis just ever so slightly hitting the 1 o'clock angle. It's the worst angle you can hit. You don't find anywhere on the cars a hit that really destabilizes any worse than that 1 o'clock angle at the rear. And he found out as well. He got touched from behind by Joel Olenbrook, who I'm quite sure was expecting for everyone just to go heavy on the throttle, and all of a sudden they didn't. And that's when, as close as they were, right around there, it's very hard to react to indeed. Scott McFall right on the tail of Olenbrook still, and it's now a two-way battle for the lead. We've got Jarno de Hau for Totalplan Racing in the number 20 car, who's done a very, very good job of staying safe over the opening stages of this race. Senna Hulsmans in 4th place, and then Nolan Lemeray up into 5th. I say up into 5th because he was 6th just a few minutes ago, but he was leading the race for a long time until he spun it on his own, touching the curbs and losing the rear of the car. Fabrice Cornelis involved in that incident just a few minutes ago. He's down into 6th place now. 7th is Matthias Maas for JWS Motorsports in the number 5 car. Doing a very good job indeed, having climbed up 3 places. Kenny Hermans having climbed up 4 places up into 8th. Now finding Tim Greven on his rear end yet again. Must be frustrating to be Tim and carrying that damage for the time being. Martin Deckens 10th place in BLC 1, which leads us to the leader in BLC 2, which is Bouter van Kuster for JWS Motorsports. And there is a healthy gap of 14.5 seconds down to Christoph Raas for Flemish Simsports Yellow. And that is, of course, the 999 machine. As you can see underneath the rear wing, if you're a keen viewer as well, here it says 999. And a very good pun that is indeed. Gregory Franks, we haven't even mentioned him yet. He's driving for Optica by Dynamics in the 32 machine and sitting in 3rd place in the BLC2 class at the moment, doing a very good job. Ricardo Michalewski for Art Sim Racing 1 is 4th, and Steve Kleiss for Eagle Race Simulators Esports PC Cup is 5th in BLC2 at the moment. Robin DeVille is leading the GT4s ahead of Thomas Stockmans in the Data Network Esports machine. We've got Bram Bellmans of Brab, and I need to say Brab, and I cannot say it in any other way, so you'll always hear me say Brab. And of course, do say if it gets too annoying, and I will do my best not to say it that way.
Well,
anyway,
you've committed to it now. It's stuck. You got to keep saying it like that now.
Yeah, exactly, but it's been a long-running joke. Anyway, Kurt van Honacker in 4th place in the GT4s, and Jelle Verstraeten for Greenleaf Racing, first of the McLaren's GT4 as well. One of the newest cars to the iRacing platform. And the last of the classes, last but not least, is the TCRs, still with Olivier Bultink leading for Sim District TCR Green by BMS Esports. Robin van Hoek for, well, it's the teammate of Bultink in the Sim District TCR Orange by BMS Esports. And then Philip Vliegen for CCTS Esports Belcar is in 3rd place, getting lapped by the 86 machine there. And something we've seen on many occasions as well here, Jack, is the TCR and GT4 classes not spending a lot of time getting fairly mixed up with one another, since they're very, very close on pace.
Yeah, just noticed, I think Lemeray just set the fastest lap, actually, with 1:39.6. So, and they're going to be 2 to watch, Nolan Lemeray and Fabrice Cornelis. They've had incidents, like you said. Lemeray was leading the race, dominating, you've got to say. He was pulling a gap to Cornelis, who was in 2nd at the time. But the two guys that have been showing the most sort of, well, I say the most, has been fighting all over the place, but a lot of fight, shall we say, now find themselves in 5th and 6th, but with plenty of time to go in this race. This is not over for those two, especially with the pace they are showing. as we see Michael Fernando in the mighty Pink Panther racing car. Can't miss it. The number 48 going past the Audi there, coming down the back straight. No issues there. And here we see, I just can't get over that car. I need to stop mentioning it. Oh, look at this. The 911 car, facing backwards, reverse. Do you know what? Smart rejoin there for the B-Sim Racing GT3. He's reversed round. Is he now going to spin it round? Oh,
that was the situation with Cornelis from before. We could just see it again.
Oh, yes.
There it is. And that's just how long it took Nathan van Kerkhove to actually get rolling again. And I think he must have been absolutely fuming. He's trying to get going. He realizes traffic is on the way, using his relative in an intelligent fashion. And that is, of course, what we want to see, because it makes sure that everybody else coming around the hairpin will actually make it around. But
yeah, look, he sat there for ages. Cornelis is in the pits.
Poor luck indeed. Cornelis in the pits here. 39 minutes, and I think they might have gotten a penalty here. I'm not quite sure of it. It's either that or it's repairs for having picked up some damage. But we'll have to see about that. If everything works like it should work, we've got our race control in with us, and race control live and stewarding the race as it goes on. And something that is very, very nice to have indeed. We've got Thomas Smets joining us in chat as well. Evening, Thomas. Nice to have you along. Jeff, I am sorry, but we have the live timing link in the description below. I can post it for you in chat as well. It's the only live timing we have, so it should be able to display all the classes of racing if you scroll down through it. It's there in chat right about now. Look at Joel Erlenbrook having lost the lead, I think, actually to Scott McFall, and it's happened under our very noses here. Let's have another look at what happened here. It's into the hairpin, Jack.
Yeah, I think there's something going on with my replay at the moment. It's very jolty. If you want to talk through the overtake as they come down. Oh, that's better. Okay, I can see it. This is clear. So...
this is not the replay anymore now.
Oh no, we're back live. That'd be why I can see it clearly. Yeah, we missed the overtake, but Scott, they're still close together. I don't think these two are well, I said this a number of times now. I was going to say, I don't think these two are going to battle too hard this early on when they've got such a lead now that they are fully in control of this race, no matter which one of them's in the lead. But I've been proved wrong a couple of times as Erlenbrook has a cheeky little look to try and intimidate Scott McFall. Didn't work this time round, didn't have enough pace, and they're going to try and get a good exit. You've got a yellow Porsche there up the road. That's probably the 209 Porsche of Kevin van der Wielen, currently down in 36th overall. But he was the one who had an issue with Hendrik de Grave earlier on in this race with a poor rejoin. Henrik de Grave's grave being dug quite early on lap 1.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a tough one for the Flemish team in that regard. Still doing well. The yellow team, Christoph Raas in the 999 alongside the TCR, the red TCR that is. Of course, Robin de Ville leads for Flemish as well in GT4. So before saying it's bad for the entirety of the team, we should have a look through the standings here. But indeed, it's been tough for the TCR of Hendrik de Graaf, and that might be something that could catch up to them and cause some trouble later in the season, because they have been title contenders more or less every season of virtual Belcar racing that we've had so far. So a bit of a disappointment here in the opening 40 minutes or so, but of course still time to make amends as well here as Nolan Lemarais goes up into 4th place. Goes past Senne Hulsmans in the 13 Flemish SimSports white machine. And moving up the order and at a very, very quick pace at the moment. 1.2 seconds quicker than Jarno de Houw for Totalplan Racing in 3rd at the moment.
Yeah, I think is he in sight there? The 3rd place driver from... Yeah, they are. They're on the same bit of tarmac here. You can see him up the road, and with that pace, 2-3 laps time, he's going to be trying to make a move back onto the podium. And then it's onwards to Scott McFall and Joel Erlenbrook in GTE Racing in the top 2.
And we indeed also had Tim Jacobs confirming for us that it was a black flag for the number 4 car. The Simtag E-team was indeed also battling for the lead. They did get a black flag and had to serve that penalty, which is why they're 14th in class, 19th overall. And 2 minutes down, so they are no longer on the lead lap as well. That is going to be a very, very hard fight back for them as well.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's big news, that penalty, actually, because they were, again, I say it, they were on the same bit of tarmac as Lemeray. They were right behind him, and it was looking like those two were going to just sort of weave their way back up to the top spots where they were, and then they could have joined the battle for the top 2 again. But you've got to say, that's going to have affected the number 4 team's race quite badly. Obviously, long way to go. Anyone else could get a penalty. Any other crashes can happen. There's back markers, there's 4 classes. This happens in multi-class, and they're quite close, like you said. We've got the leader of the BL2 class well in the mix of the BL1 class, and it's similar to the other 2 classes, the yellow and the green striped classes down the bottom end of the field. As you can see here, Scott, look how close. I love how close they get in the hairpin. This is a great shot of how close the racing gets. Not quite a little love tap this time that we saw earlier on from the other lead 2, as they go both past this Audi nice and cleanly, no problems. He moved well out the way. There's 2 different mindsets out there at the moment, Hasse, and that is, well, you've got some people who are, let's say, misjudging the width of their car or letting people through, and then there's the really I saw a bit of the hairpin earlier where everyone was so polite. Everyone slowed down too much in a way. It was like, after you, no, after you, sir. Very polite into their hairpin, but looking good. 2 hours and 15 minutes left of this race on lap 27, as we can see Vince Peters in the pits there, getting some new tyres by the looks of it.
That was the 11 car coming in here after 26 laps. A little earlier than expected, I have to say. Christoph Raas inherits the leads now ahead of Greg Frank, Steve Klaus, and Ricardo Michalewski. He comes out there, I think, in 5th place, unless he loses a position right around here, which he does not. So still the 5th place, and Boudewijn Kuster out of the car. Vince Peters goes in, and I wonder if there's been some kind of issue for them, if they've received a black flag or anything of the like, because it is surprising to see them come in so early, but we'll have to see. We might just see that everybody else comes in as well now, and in that case, that'll be if they are running reduced fuel tank sizes there for the 911 Cup class. Because usually you'd be able to see those 911 Cup cars be able to run a GT3 sort of distance, which would usually be around an hour's time on a tank full of fuel.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing the 11 car involved in much of the sort of the contact stuff that we've been seeing, but could potentially be a penalty unless they're just trying something with strategy. But look at this. That's Jorlenbroek behind. Look at the gap now as the traffic's getting fully involved with the lead battle. This is a replay of Robbie DeBee.
Yeah,
back on with Vince Peters.
I saw there was a few cars that had gone past on Boudewijn Kuster. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any real incident. There are a lot of smoke there up ahead.
There was a lot of smoke, but look at the gap now between the lead 2. So some sort of traffic issue there. Erlenbroek losing sight of Scott McFall, who's still trying to get past the Porsche. He's going to get that easily done into turn 1, but now, I say easily done, he's not. He's going to have to tuck back in behind that Porsche up ahead. This is on board with 3rd place, Jarno, for Total Plan Racing. 2 A's. As he goes down the inside. You take over, Hasse?
Yeah, I just wanted to say on board with the wailing V10. As the 11 car wins Peters. That might have been deliberate going wide to let Jarno Dow through, and they're through the Parabolica here, down towards the hairpin. 1.5 seconds now the gap up to your Erlenbroek, but the gap to Scott McFall up ahead in the lead is now almost 3 seconds. So it certainly is opening up ahead of these drivers, and a very, very competitive lap time set on the last lap by Jarno de Hau, a 1:40.17, more or less mimicking the pace of Nolan Lemeret, which means that right now the car in third place is looking very, very good. Of course, we can't make too much of the lap times as we are having more or less constant traffic here, which does indeed mean that the drivers don't have full control of what sort of pace they're running. And just what's happening to Jarno right now is a very good example of that, and he had to get off the throttle on the corner exit, which is not what you want to do in such a situation. Yes, so that's of course Vince Peters, who sneaks along on his tail. And
Porsche off there as well, on that left-hand side.
Oh, and look at Nolan Lemeret closing in as well. And we've mentioned this many, many times before on these Virtual Belcar Series broadcasts, but the traffic management is such an important skill to master in this series. And you really need to be strong at gauging the differences between the different classes of cars and the dynamics of those just in the right way to make the right call every time. And it's certainly not an easy thing to do. Always easier to sit here in the commentary booth and talk about it than it is being out there driving on track, taking part in these heated battles. I think we can safely say that Nolan Lemeret doing a very, very good job with traffic here. He's now on the tail of the two Porsche cars. Ahead of him, the 911 Cup cars. As was mentioned in chat earlier, the 911 Cup cars up on power compared to the Lambos, making it that little bit harder to overtake. They have to do it in the braking zones, of course, with ABS, with traction control. They can brake later and they can get on the throttle earlier. But we do see it's hard for the Lambos to really overtake and catch up on the straights, which is also why we could see the 11 car holding up the Lambos for such a long time early in the race here.
Yeah, and we're 10 minutes away from approaching that first hour mark, and it's got to be said there's some smarter decisions being made in terms of lapping the traffic. Like you said, it's a crucial skill to have, traffic management. And we said about, I think it was Jarno who had to lift off, but he very smartly sort of took a wider line, had the quick lift off, but got the switch back on that Aldi as McFall is he coming to the pits, or is the timing green line to me? It says he's out. Don't know if he's having a little blinky moment, but Jorlenbroek up in P1 while Scott McFall is going down the order.
Scott McFall is actually falling down the order, hoping that it's just a short upset connection-wise. Otherwise, it is going to be heartbreak indeed for the Sim District GT3 by BMS 5 Esports and the entirety of the team as well, because I think there's no coming back from such an incident, just in terms of how much time you're gonna lose. And it's been a very long dropout, or timeout if you will. I've seen people recover from such a thing before, but I've also seen people just disconnect from it. Let's hope he stays in, fingers crossed on my end at least here. But now leading, as you said, Joel Erlenbroek, who has done a brilliant job so far of staying out of harm's way, I want to say. And it's been quite an ordeal there at the head of the BLC1 field. It's been attritional, to say the least, and we are counting quite a number of casualties actually up here, and maybe ever a surprising one even, Jack.
Yeah, we've had what, 3, 4, maybe five leaders of the top class. It's been a little bit mental, and they haven't all been sort of unfortunate in like Scott's case. Well, there's been a few crashes, like we said, tying up with the lower classes, and it was really feisty at the start of the race, which was interesting to see, considering, well, it's a 3-hour race. But still, no Scott McFall.
I think he's out. I think he's disconnected.
Fallen out of the session. He's done. It's madness. You've got to get the puns in there in memory of Chaz. This is great. But you've got to say, there's always a silver lining. And Erlenbroek now 2 seconds in the lead, but being chased down by Jarno and Nolan Lemeret in third place.
Yeah, Scott McFall has fallen victim to the sim racing equivalent of a mechanical issue, blown engine, gearbox, transmission issue, whatever, forcing them to do a reconnect, a driver swap perhaps, and it's at a very, very, very poor time as well here. Just around 8 minutes before the first opening of the pit window. We're coming into the completion of the first third of this race indeed, and it's blown by. I feel it's been full of action so far. Still very, very close at the head of affairs here. Joel Erlenbroek leading Jarno de Houw by around 2.5 seconds, but Nolan Lemarais continuously putting in those fast lap times. His last lap was a 39.9, and that was respectively half a second quicker than Jarno de Houw and just about a second quicker than Joel Erlenbroek over the last lap there. So he's still catching up, and he's I think pretty he wants to make the race his again. I think he'll be kicking himself after that earlier incident, but surely on the trail to a comeback here.
How's this for a comment from Ethan Dean? It's been too long since I've had Hasse's wonderful voice filling my ear holes like a goblet of the sweetest commentary nectar.
Ethan, it's nice to have you along, Ethan. Welcome, mate. Ethan, a good friend of mine, and yeah, comes up with that kind of love indeed. It's great to see, heartwarming, and a welcome to everyone else tuning in at a later stage of the race here. Of course, coming into the completion of the first hour, we will take ourselves a few minutes of a break once we reach the halfway point of the race, just to stock up on drinks, snacks, and whatever need to keep the brain sharp for a race like this, which, Jack, to be fair, has certainly been necessary for us. I feel like my tongue has rarely been more razor sharp, and it really got sharpened over the opening 20 minutes of this race. That was some hectic racing indeed.
It has been some hectic racing. We've got a question. How many classes are there? There are 4 classes out there on track at the moment. We have the BL1 class, which is currently led by Erlenbroek. Those are the Lamborghini GT3 cars. You can see it there, the lovely black. Well, we're looking at we've got the number 20 car in the shot as well, but I love that Valkyrie Sport livery. The BLC2 cars are the Porsche 911 GT3s. That is currently led by Christoph Raas. Christoph Raas in the 999 car. Very cleverly written on the spoiler as well. No prototypes. There was a replacement, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Radicals used to be the top class in this race series, which was swapped out for the Lamborghini. And the BLC3 class, we have the GT4s, which could be one of 3 cars: the BMW M4 GT4, the McLaren 570S GT4, and the Porsche Cayman GT4. And then the final class, BLC4, the green colour stripe, is the Audi RS3 touring car. Those are the 4 classes we've got.
Beautifully said. Erlenbroek still leads by around 2 seconds. De Houw and Nolan Lemarais on identical laps here over the last lap, both into the 39s, but just separated by 0.2 of a second there with Erlenbroek over the last lap. So we're just watching the lap times, watching the gaps, as they are very steady indeed. And you sit there with a feeling that this might well just come down to the pit stops here in the end, because it's that close. And that's saying something about the competitiveness of this series, and it's fantastic to see. And I think I said it coming into this broadcast, Jack, that we have it's one of the best series around. It's always super competitive, and what we're seeing out here on track today or tonight really confirms that.
Yeah, I really like the spread of the field here. Actually, it's quite nice. Like, in terms of the balance of power of these cars, there's always something going on. I imagine, well, as much as it is a spectacle for us right now, watching in the virtual world, I imagine it would be quite interesting if you were there live on the track as well. There's just constantly cars. There's none of this sort of, off they go, and then you wait for another minute before you see any cars again. There is always a car to be watching. Battles going on all over the place, and it has to be said, I mean, props to the BLC 1 class. They have put on a lot of the action today. We've seen a few, obviously, bits of contacts and stuff further down the field, but the lead, the first place overall has swapped so many times. But you're right, pit stops will always come into play. in an endurance race, and we are yet to see sort of any genuine pit stops, I think, yet. We've seen a couple of penalties applied. None. Well, one of them was to one of the leaders, wasn't it? Who's now way down the order. Did they have a driver swap as well? I've forgotten who's got into the car.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's the number 4 machine. Just having a look through. That's Koen Klopman.
Yes.
The youngster Koen Klopman, who's taken the car. No, that's not the youngster. I'm sorry. I made the joke about Klopman being the Kopman, and Kopman in Dutch is the man on top, the head man, the leader, if you will. And it's sadly not one I can make today for the umpteenth time. I would have loved to be able to do so, but sadly it isn't going to be. I think it's, as I said earlier as well, it's going to be a very, very hard comeback to pull off for the Simtag E-Team number 4 car. I think it will require a lot of other drivers and teams to have some really poor luck here at Hockenheim. Jack, Hockenheim, a track that's been subject to quite some change over recent years in terms of how recent years, it's actually quite some years ago by now, but in terms of how the old Hockenheim layout was. Of course, there are still a few corners that are, if nothing else, than reminiscent of the old circuit, but it's changed quite a bit. And while still being a great racetrack, it's certainly not the same in terms of the dynamics that it offers, and of course the speeds that we used to see on the old Hockenheimring.
Of course, yeah, the older circuit layout sort of breeding that high speed feeling that we're now sort of accustomed to in places like Monza, for example, which has also changed over the years since the 50s, let's say. But the thing is about this circuit, I've always wondered this. I do not understand. This circuit breeds such good racing, and it's one of those traditional layouts. Even on this modern version of the circuit, you can still class it as a traditional layout compared to some of the new tracks we're seeing sort of being put on, like the F1 calendar, for example, which tend to be street circuits these days, which I'm not a massive fan of. There's a lot of people loving street circuits at the moment, in people high up in the F1 offices for whatever reason, but I want more circuits like this. The racing's great, but a track like this is under financial pressure. Like they're struggling. They can't get the contracts, and it blows my mind. But of course, F1 isn't the only racing out there, and they do still hold other sorts of racing, which is great to see.
Yeah, indeed, and I also think a good part of the point with that comes down to the fact that when you have F1 racing at a track like this, it doesn't always produce as good racing as the slower classes of cars, as the cars we're seeing here tonight, which are more dependent on the mechanical grip. Of course, they do have wings, obviously so, when looking at these Lamborghinis, but they're not as dependent, of course, as Formula 1 cars are on their downforce, and as such, we'll be finding it a little bit easier to get close to the car ahead and provide us with this racing without all sorts of DRS and those sorts of things, which this could be a dangerous opinion to display, but I do actually think that a lot of people will disagree, or not, but would actually agree with me, is what I meant to say, with me on this one. But anyway, the fact that DRS kind of breeds this unnatural... Not really this... Oh, my word. So Robin the B wanting to go into the pits, and Robert Jansen's not really getting the message there, not really getting the memo, and a little bit of contact. Anyway, I never got to make my point about the DRS breeding this unnatural sort of racing where you cannot fight the overtakes. There is just nothing to do. You know, as soon as a car is within those 0.5, 0.6 of a second, it's a done deal. The overtake is done, you know, on to the next step. And that's... It's not what you want to see. You want to see, like... In all other sports, you can win and you can lose as well, and of course you can still do so in racing, but it just doesn't really give you the sort of battling that you want to see. I'm very excited to see if the 2022 regulations, as it now is, will provide us with just that. But enough talk about F1 here, Jack, because Joel Erlenbrook, race leader, now comes into the pits. We've had second place, I think, coming in on the lap before this one, yes indeed, and it's now Cedric Wouters driving in the Totalplan racing car. And let's see where Erlenbrook comes out. Nolan Lemarais stays... Oh, no, he doesn't. He comes into the pits as well, but I was looking at my timing screen, not on the actual cars. And all of a sudden I see that he is very much in the pit. Driver swaps going on, of course, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, so you were spot on with the whole with the 1 hour mark thing being sort of the tank limit, as it were, in terms of strategies. Everyone, well, I think that's almost everyone actually in the BLC1 field sorted out now. For some people stopping the lap before, we've seen Erlenbrook coming in now a lap later. So everyone's sorting out their driver swaps, which means more names for me to learn and potentially get wrong.
Indeed. Look at the situation here for the JWS Motorsports. The number 11 911 Cup car, dominant as usual, I want to say, because it's a picture we've gotten used to seeing by now. Vince Peters ahead of a gang of Lamborghinis. Basically, he's ahead of half of the BLC1 field here after just an hour of racing, which is in itself pretty impressive. Second in BLC2 at the moment is Hans Poelmans in the 999 machine. Of course, that's Flemish Sim Sports Yellow. And Sim Formula Europe with Ward Mallets. And we'll have to see if he will be able to take positions away from both Michalewski and Thomas Prokpocki. He does indeed, and reclaims third place, of course, Ward Mallets for Sim Formula Europe. And the 24 car already having had their first pit stop. And with that said, I think the only cars that we have yet to see coming into the pits are further down the field in the GT4 and TCR classes here.
Yeah, it's all sorting out. Like you said, you touched on it there about Peters. They've had a cracking race. They have made their stop as well, haven't they, the JWS Motorsport team?
They have.
Yeah, so they're up to the top. Well, they're 8th place overall. And this being my sort of first time in this series, really impressive stuff to see sort of one of the lower class, racing. But he has got now some of the faster drivers. Whoa, there's Janssens off. That's the number 7 car.
I'm
Go on,
wondering. No, I'm just wondering. Robert Janssens here. It seems he's been in the pits, but for a very short time indeed. He had a 12.7 second pit time when he was in. That can't be right, is what I'm thinking here. The fast racing by Extreme Kart machine now leading the way, having had one pit stop as well as everybody else. 24 seconds up here. By the way, GTE Racing, who I'd say probably is still in the virtual lead of the race, but with the driver changes having taken place here. Maxime van den Hove is now in the 99 car, and Amaury Bonduel has taken over the Valkyrie Esports X car. That's the 219 machine. Cedric Wouters is right there for Totalplan, and I'm just looking down through see where the rest of the Valkyrie machines have gone to. Oh, that's Antoine Morlet in the Valkyrie Esports by Francorchamps Mini Champs. Mini Champs. That should be sacrilege to say, because Mini Champs, of course, is competing manufacturer of small cars.
Yes. Yes, got Ethan Dean in the comments again. He's come up with some little words that we can use to explain a gaggle of Lamborghinis. Let's say we've got. I'm not sure about either of them, but we can try using them. The gang Bikini or the Lamborghini. I think
we can't use either of those, I'm afraid, Jack, because for obvious reasons. It's at least I don't know if it's just me who has something of a mind, but I sense a bit of innuendo in there as well. So rather leave that alone.
Maybe we will. But yeah, the order at the front actually, again touched on it. GT Racing, Maxim van der Hove, we think is in. Well, we know actually is kind of in the net lead of this race at the moment, but it does mean that the Valkyrie Esports car is now back up into the sort of net P2. So he has passed the Total Plan car in the pit stops already on this first stop, but we've got another one, at least one more stop in this race, potentially 2, depending on your strategies and your fuel saving. Oh, look at this. Olivier Van Herk race it. So this is the Porsche GT4 versus the BMW GT4, both the same class, going side by side into sector 2. Is any move going to get done here on the inside? The Porsche is doing those little intimidation looks where If you just show your nose up on the inside, you can potentially scare the car in front to go wide, and then the position's yours. Doesn't always work, and sometimes can cost you time, as it looks like Sebastian is coming into the pits.
Yeah,
so
Sebastian.
Over.
Yeah, excuse me, but Sebastian Keimel coming in here in the number 12 car, and that sets off the round of pit stops, I think, for the GT4s. Well, that said, I think everybody else actually in the GT4s has had their pit stops, except for Sebastian. But this is the second pit stop for the Flemish Sim Sports Black Machine, and they were leading earlier on, so something must have happened to them as well, causing them to take another pit stop earlier on there. Vapor Shop dropped back a lot, maybe used to, or maybe they took tires or something else. I think Vapor Shop had issues early on. If you were mentioning at least or referring to the Vapor Shop Lambo, driven by Tim Jacobs, a pit time of 1 minute and 10 seconds, very similar to the rest of the field. But mind you that Tim Greven, the other Tim in this car, had a big off actually right around here on the exit, lost the rear, spun across the track and hit the wall heavily indeed. And I think that might have cost them some time in the running here. And
definitely have used their fast repair, haven't they?
Yeah.
The car looks clean.
Exactly.
So the pace is going to be back there for the Vapor Shop.
Very much so. No one look now. Look at this here. It's that Vanden Hove up ahead, and the Totalplane of the Totalplane racing car. I'm sorry, of Cedric Wouters right on the tail of Amaury Bonduel, and here he comes up the inside. He's gonna get that position, and the 20 car. Look at that. As the seasons change, so does the pace here. And we've had a driver change, and it seems Cedric Wouters really putting down the hammer here. He's set the one of the fastest lap, at least, within the top runners of the field. And looking very strong here, bringing the car up into a podium position. And a well-timed overtake. No chance to defend it really for Amaury Bonduel, but he didn't try to as well, so that was probably a pretty clever move there from the 219 car. Trying to play the long game, and of course, with just under 2 hours remaining of this race, still plenty of time for action to happen, for the battles to play out, and for the tale of this race to tell itself, if you will.
Yeah. These two have got pace as well, so they can play it smart here. Like you said, he didn't defend. They're now going to slipstream each other, and they could easily catch. Well, I say easily. They're all pushing, but they can catch Van der Hove in the lead and make it a freeway battle again for first place. They've just got to play it smart. We're on board with Quinn Van Hooydonk for the Sim District GT3 by BMS/5 Esport team, and who is that ahead? That's Cohen Klopman for the Simtag E team number 4 car. So that's the car that had they had a penalty earlier on, didn't they? We mentioned that. A black flag penalty after coming together with a back marker. I'm not sure if that's what the penalty was for. It was unfortunate, but the back marker losing out quite a lot of places because he was sat there waiting to rejoin for ages. It was a long time. He done the right thing in the end, reversed out of the way and got himself back going. But these two battling for 7th and 8th at the moment in the BLC1 class. So we're coming down the main straight. He's going to be in slipstream here. This could be a move down into the hairpin. Let's watch that speed. How much extra speed is he going to get in the slipstream here? 230. We've seen them top out around 244, 245. They're going to reach 250. Yes, just before the braking zone. 250 kilometers an hour up the inside. It looks like a relatively easy move. And yet, Klopman tucks in behind. So they're not still battling side by side on the exit, but it's not over because now he's going to have slipstream. Into the fast right-hander they go. They're going to come up to a left-hander. Klopman's going to look up the inside. Tucks back in behind. He's not quite close enough on the brakes. And that looks like a done deal as they're going to pass that McLaren up ahead. This is the off-board view. Up the inside. Looks fairly clean. So he tried holding it around the outside. But then there's never much room there, is it? You have to kind of trust the other driver's going to let you have that space on the outside. Otherwise, I mean, they are, I say, fully entitled. Some people will believe they're entitled to run you out there a little bit onto that big orange sausage curb and cost you a bit of time, as these two are still going at it in the top 3, battling out for that 2nd place stop. We're still waiting In fact, I say we're waiting. Rob Janssens, are they in the lead for fast racing? Are they pit? Are they out, or are they out of sorts with everyone else?
But I'm a little bit surprised to see it. They were in on lap 9, which would mean that they are coming in soon. They were in on lap 9. They probably took their full stop there, and they'll be off everybody else on the fuel stops, and the strategy as such is going to be a little bit skewed for them, I'm afraid, and I think that's why. No, I just looked at it. They were in on lap 9, and everybody else has been in on around lap 36 or 37, save a few of the other cars as well through the BLC 1 field. Still led by Robbie Janssens, as we said, but the fast racing by Extreme Kart number 7 machine is the machine that was in on lap 9, and as such, it's going to be coming in as well soon. So, virtual leader of this race still is Maxim van den Hove in the 99 GTE racing car. And should they go on to take the win here, it's going to be their first both class and overall win in the Virtual Belcar Series. So, I think might be some nerves there in the garage of theirs, the virtual garage of theirs. Being in a situation they might not really be used to, at least not in terms of Belcar here. But of course, we're talking teams with a +3 or +4K average I rating for many of the teams here in BLC 1, so they will be well used to how it is, both being under pressure, racing, and also sitting at the top of a field. Here is Cedric Wouters in 3rd place, still defending from Amaury Bonduel, who, well, he got past Amaury, but he hasn't really been able to spring open the gap to the 219 Valkyrie Esports X car behind. And that indeed also goes to say a lot about what was mentioned earlier in chat, Jack, that the slipstream is indeed strong here. And if you do a good job of following another car, it's going to be very, very hard to break the toe here. Yeah, that's right. And with all the other classes as well, it makes it tough with sort of everyone at all times will get a bit of slipstream unless there's quite a large gap in front. The gap between Cedric and Maxim is about, it's close to 3 seconds. So those two are really going to be wanting to close down to that lead. We're on with Lawrence DeWitt here. He looks like he's about to get past. That's for position, I think, into the hairpin. The number 12 and 25 car. That looked extremely close. The Greenleaf Racing team. Getting a move done there, or were they defending? I lost track of where I was. I just saw a comment from Sen Holzman saying that he had a penalty in the pits. Sen Holzman picking up a pit lane speeding penalty, which is certainly not what you want to get. It's always so frustrating as a driver, because you have a feeling that these sort of penalties are indeed avoidable, but at the same time you want to make sure that you don't lose any unnecessary time. Here Sebastian Keimel in the 12th car goes through there on the inside of Lawrence DeWitt in the Greenleaf Racing machine, and takes that 5th place away from Greenleaf Racing in GT4 or in BLC 3. Good that move. Is leaders, by the way, of BLC 3 at the moment here. Data Network Esports and Olivia van Erck in that car. The 84 BMW having driven a very good race so far. Michael Fernando there for Mighty Pink Panther Racing, 2nd, but just about half a minute, a little more than half a minute down on class leaders. And then Abel Court for Brab. And Jeremy de Boever for RP Motorsport by DB Racing as well. And he's got a 17-second gap down to Sebastian Keimel and 22 seconds up to Abel Court up ahead. This battle for 3rd overall, which is still virtually 2nd. And look at this, they're closing in on Van den Hove. That gap is certainly coming down. And on the last lap, Jack, the 2 cars behind were about half a second quicker than Maxim van den Hove. So if that trend continues with just about 2.5 seconds of gap down them, it's just going to be a few laps, and we're going to have another 3-way battle for the lead here. Yeah, it's definitely closing. Just going back to sort of penalties and comments in the chat, we had Sen Holzman who said it's 2 kilometers an hour over the speed limit.
and received a 40 seconds penalty for that. But rules are rules, as you said. 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer an hour, but the penalty will still apply, as it looks like the Valkyrie Esports car closing in. I don't think he's going to make a move, as I said. I think they're playing it smart here. They are just closing that gap. I'm sure they're watching their relative and watching that time come down. They can physically see the blue Lambo up ahead, and they will be just counting down the laps. So he uses all the track there. A little bit of grass does Van den Hove. But there's another penalty. The Flemish GT4 car had to pit again. Well, it's not a penalty. It's more of a misinterpretation. I don't even know what to call this. Basically, they didn't put any fuel in when they should have, so they had to do a second stop pretty much straight after their actual pit stop. Unfortunate there for the Flemish GT4 team.
And that's poor luck, and that's what happens as well in the heat of battle indeed. Now we're closing in on the halfway marker of this race as well, as we do have Robert Janssens in the pits. And that is the car that was in the pits on lap 9 their early days. Fast Racing by Extreme car, the number 7 machine, which means that the lead will indeed transfer back to Maxime van den Hove. Cedric Wouters grabbing 2nd place, and Amaury Bonduel up into 3rd as well. The Fast Racing by Extreme car getting taken over by Jiri Crispin. And let's see if they manage to get out ahead of Dieter Ertz here in the 27 Dynamics MD design, teammate of Martin Deckens. And they were sitting 10th early in the race. They've had a really, really good drive through the end of the first stint here and into the second one, sitting 4th at the moment. Certainly not bad here. Jorn van den Akker is in 5th place, and Kien van Hooydonk 6th at the moment there for Sim District GT3 by BMS Vibe Esports, the 145 car. And if I'm not completely mistaken, that was the car that was leading earlier on but had a disconnect, and for them to be in, well, almost in the top 5 at the moment, well, that could be a lot worse. Now, it could be wrong, of course, but I have a feeling that for once indeed, I'm right. Koen Klopman doing a very good job here as well, in 7th place, taking over for Fabrice Cornelis, and that was, of course, after the penalty that was handed out after a little bit of a controversial incident coming out of the hairpin. 3 cars close, 2 Lambos passing a lapping a slower Lambo as well, and that got cagey indeed. And the Simtag E-Team number 4 machine at that moment, driven by Fabrice Cornelis, must have been deemed be at fault for that incident by the race stewards, and he was handed a penalty, which surely has been a setback for them. But there are 38 seconds down at the moment. But that also being said, they are a pit stop down because they took that penalty. They took a pit stop, I think, as well, but they took that penalty early. And that means, just like a few of the other cars as well here in the Belcar 1 class, their race strategy is going to be quite skewered and quite off with the rest of the field there. And I think they are going to suffer under that come the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see here carving their way through one of the lower end. Look at this. I said lower end Lamborghinis. They're all fighting for position. Looking at the numbers on their LED screen, side by side into turn 2. A little bit of a door nudge there. He's still there though. They're going to be side by side on the exit. You don't really want to be fighting there because that will ruin your run down this main straight. You can see 5th place there, flashing his lights in distaste for that move. Tim Jacobs is in the pits. I think he might have had an issue a bit earlier on around the lap. It looks like there's damage on that car. I don't know if that's my eyes. Doth my eyes deceive me? Great race for Total Plan, says Rune in the chat. They are having a good race. Look at this. Is this the second stop for the Vapor Shop team?
Yeah, I think it is, and they have had a problem indeed. Oh, and this is something we didn't catch this just a few minutes ago here, as Koen Bevers had a problem for Sim Formula Europe, and actually that could have been a lot worse, but he just touched the soft barriers, and I think they lost quite a lot of time having to turn the car around safely there. But of course that's a lot better than picking up a lot of damage indeed. You can see that the Lamborghini of some of the teams are running the endurance lights, and that's actually a thing that you can set up in the in the setup of the setup pages of the car. That was a pun in itself, maybe unintentional, of course, because it's so poor. But anyway, you can see the extra front lights there on Koen Klopman's machine on the number 4 car. And we might see those shining brightly on a few of the other Lamborghinis as well, just for anyone wondering why the difference in the headlights of the machines at this point of the race. Look at Gwen van Hooydonk, who's on the outside of the 11. Koen Klopman stays cool here and takes it easy as they snake on through the car of Vince Peters. They've had 2 pit stops as well, so they're now behind the Flemish Sim Sports yellow car, currently driven by Hans Poelmans, and that is a very good situation to be in for the 999 machine here, with 35 seconds on the car behind. Now out comes Tim Jacobs. Is he coming out here or what?
In the pits. We've got Valkyrie Esports in the tips, Hasse.
Oh!
I'm not sure if they had an issue. I saw an off track there, but I'm not sure why they've come in. They're not long stopped. We're an hour and 23 minutes in. And they've had a little extra stop there. I don't know if that was a penalty.
Yeah, I have to say I'm lost on this one. I simply don't know. It's I'm looking through our event viewer to see if there was any clues as to where, as to why they had that issue. Tim Jacobs! Oh, and that's a much harder impact. Luckily, it's the soft barrier, not the harder concrete barrier that's earlier on the track, but it's certainly a big knock to the left-hand front side of the car, and a little bit damage on the rear as well. Mind you, the Vapor Shop RDR Motorsports number 30 machine has used their fast repair already, and as such, it's a very bad position to be in for them now.
That's more damage than it looked as well. The car was crabbing hard as he pulled away from that wall, so unfortunate there with the contact model. Clearly breaking the suspension of that car, and they might be there for a while. As you said, the fast repair has been used. We're on board with Waters here for Total Plan. Coming round the middle sector, still chasing down Vandenhove for the lead. This is the lead battle, and it's as close as ever. Separated by 0.6 of a second. Let's look at the last lap times. Waters was 0.2 faster last lap round, so I mean Slipstream's going to be helping him a little bit. But Vandenhove still looking like he's in control of this race at the moment, up in the lead. And as we said, the Valkyrie Esport X car of Bond. Oh, I've lost. Right, you're gonna have to help me with the pronunciation here. Bonduel?
Yeah, I think it's Bonduel.
Yeah, Bonduel. He has dropped right down.
That'll be to the best of my French-speaking abilities. I am. I think mostly a self-trained multilinguist. It's not that I actually... Well, I speak a few languages, but I don't speak that many languages. But I am a language fan, if you will, and I love learning these different pronunciations of different languages and such. I think it's quite interesting as well, and of course, it's good to have with you as well when you're commentating on a series as... Even though it's the Virtual Belcar Series, it still feels like it's pretty international to me. Bonduel with a huge outbreaking of himself there into the hairpin. It was quite the dive bomb. And yeah, didn't
stop pretty much and let the other car through. I don't know if you can. There'll be another replay there somewhere, Hasse. If you can have a look, I think Bonduel had an off somewhere. I'm not sure if that's what caused the pit stop. You might have to talk
Jeremy Hessel's coming through on Bonduel's pit exit there. I'm just looking up through again, and I don't really see anything on their car. I did so as well before because I wanted to see if we could really find, but of course, if there hasn't really been an incident, but just a small touch between two cars, and that of course could be enough to cause damage, it doesn't necessarily show up. So sometimes we just cannot catch those small car-to-car contacts that indeed could be big enough to cause damage. But the way, just to give you a bit of an insight into our technical gear here, the way we get these notifications, if you will, the event viewer as we call it, is that either if a car goes off track or a car is standing still on track, we'll get a message and we'll get an instant replay to play back of that situation that we can recall at any time in the race, basically, which is a pretty cool and very powerful tool to have as well. But of course, if there's contact, if there's damage, but no car stops and no car goes off track, we're not going to see exactly what happened. But something has happened, I'm afraid, here. And I think that's Roy Langsfeld in the mighty Pink Panther Racing. The 48 car gets a 1 o'clock tag from the rear there. Spins. Oh, look, the number 4 gets around there. Kuhn Kloppmann with brilliant reactions. And that was using the force, if ever I've seen it, trying to judge whether the spinning Cayman, the GT4 machine there, was going to go left or right. And he chose the right side. And, well, incredibly so, no one really harmed from that incident. And that could have been a lot worse as well.
It could have been a lot worse. The number 4 car, as you said, lightning reactions, nearly made the wrong decision in direction, but then quickly switching back. And with a quick change of direction like that, the speed he was going in that section, lucky not to sort of lose the rear end as well, the car getting unstable with a quick change like that, as these two carving their way through the back markers, still bumper to bumper. Waters is in a great position here in the number 20 car in P2. Just watching and waiting, Vandenhoe in the lead. Anything can happen. We're approaching the 1 hour and a half mark. So the halfway mark is on its way. Has there been an issue there for Philip Weber? Back there. How is he here? Where is he?
Oh yeah, Philip Weber has had a problem, I'm afraid. Let's see. Oh, that's in the Art Sim Racing 1 machine, the number 55 car. Goes deep on the brakes and goes quite a distance there to avoid contact with the TCR machine, who's...
I was going to say that spin is purely from avoiding a contact there, definitely. Good choice, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Very much so. On another back-to-back situation here, as Amaury Bonduel is trying to get the better. I think that's Jeremy Hessels, isn't it? Yes, it is. What we're gonna see here, I think, is Jeremy Hessels coming right back. And there's also been a change for the lead, which we're gonna have a look at momentarily. Also, I think we're told that the car of Amaury Bonduel, who did get into the pits there, they had a crash on lap 48. I am told by the Crazy Dex in chat. So thanks a lot for that information. We can't really recall the incident. A close overtake there, indeed. And now let's see here, Cedric Wouters getting past on Maxim van den Hoven. It's a late send into the hairpin. Oh, my word. Should I say my word? Because that was close indeed. And Maxim van den Hoven put down into second place there by Cedric Wouters. A stout move indeed.
That was a good example, actually, of what I was saying earlier about whether drivers... They don't really have to give you room on if you're going to commit to holding that outside line around that hairpin. But in fairness, those two did. There was a car's whip still on the outside. It's so difficult because of how tight that hairpin is. To hold it around the outside there, you really need to sort of have the car behind you, have a big pace advantage as well. But these two, as we've seen, are quite even on pace. The gap isn't increasing yet. Vandenhove is in the slipstream, and he's going to try and stay with Waters now. He looks like he's got decent pace. Well, he's made the move as they're passing a GT4 down into the hairpin. Look how wide. Look at the gap between them. You can park anything in between the gap between those two classes then coming down that back straight as they enter the hairpin now. And it's all orderly now. So we've reached the halfway mark. And these two now looking like they're going to slot in position and just sort of watch each other as we got Quinn van Hooijdonk in third place overall. He is about, in terms of distance though, I think he's about 35 seconds behind this leading pair. I'll tell you what we haven't mentioned actually. The two, there's a difference, some people might have noticed in the chat, the difference between, there's two different types of Lamborghini out there in a way. Obviously the same model, same car, but there's an endurance light kit, which I'm sure you've noticed on some of the cars, and not on here's two. Well, the two leaders are running the two different packages. You got the blue car, Vandenhove, who's running the normal lights package, but Waters has gone for the endurance package with that big old headlight in the middle, which I don't know about you, but for me it's so off-putting when that's in your mirror. I can tell you that it's really bright and really low down. We've got here Yeah, take over Hasse. We've got a little battle here. Is he going to make a move into the hairpin for the fast racing team? Not quite. Oh, is he?
I think he was thinking about it. He was that close. And then maybe even the Flemish car of Alexander Raj there, he thought that the move was being sent. It actually wasn't, but he gave the space anyways. And that is the big advantage of showing yourselves just in the mirrors and just making your presence felt at all times. Because it's an ever-present stress factor to have a car in the mirrors in that sense. And Jerry Crispin doing a very good job of applying the pressure to the rear of that car ahead here. Kin van Hooydonk for Sim District GT3 is coming into the pits. And we are going to go on board with the driver in second place. So you can get the best shot of the lead battle at the moment. We're going to go off on a 5-minute break. Just to do our thing, as I had put it. And well, we'll be back in, you guessed it, 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere, and I'll see you soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back as well for the Virtual Belcar, the opening round of the 2021 Season 2 here from Hockenheim. We're just past the halfway marker and we have had drama while being away. Cedric Wouters has lost it and the lead battle has now all but disappeared as he went off into the gravel and into the tire barrier as well. The Total Plan racing car, big problems indeed, and the first sign of trouble for them, that car is crabbing, or is it? Yes, it is badly crabbing indeed. That is a huge hit for Cedric Wouters. And a huge hit for their champions, or their championship chances, that'll be, I think, in the long run. But just of their run at this race, indeed, as well. What a terrible, rotten piece of luck.
Yeah, I was. Do you know what? I'd been thinking in the earlier stages. Turn 1 is quite the claimer of cars in terms of if you just take slightly too much curb on the inside. Or even just to carry, it's not even just the curb. If you carry slightly too much speed, an extra couple mile an hour, and too much turning, slightly too aggressive on that wheel, I'm amazed we haven't seen more people, to be honest, going round at turn 1. But extremely unfortunate as they were well within a fight for the win here today, which you've got to say, maybe out the window now. I mean, we've got an hour and 20 minutes left. So it's not all over for their race. I'm not sure they would have used the fast repair. I don't think they was involved in anything earlier, so they should be back out. Quite sort of sharpish, but they did have to, they couldn't have got that car round. That's so badly damaged they had to port to the pit, so they're going to be towed round, and we'll see how far they can get back up the order. This is Jorn van den Akker for JWS Motorsport in the number 5 car, currently in P3, and that up ahead is Dieter Arts.
Yeah, it's Dieter Arts.
Dieter Arts
in the Dynamics MD design machine.
Ooh,
there in a second, and look
tough.
at this. Jerry Crispin challenging Dirk Bouts in the PSR car for 4th place, and they almost make contact there and getting in the way of the TCR. And one of those Lambos using all of the runoff. A little bit of flashy lights there to express his dissatisfaction with the entire situation there. I don't think Jerry will be taking that all too heavily for himself. He's passed. And,
that was exactly what I was talking about. No intention of leaving room there on the exit. I mean, he went a little bit deep, and he was trying to hold it around the outside, was the number 1 car here. But look at the line the number 7's taking. I mean, the number 1 car isn't alongside. So just sort of getting shoved off there. It's a brave move to try and hold it around the outside there. But, I mean, I'm not the steward, so I'm sure they'll decide whatever they want to. But you've got to say, if you got the inside line, you're that far ahead, it's their move, their call.
Yeah, that's how you would look at it. I think from a steward's perspective, it's true, but it's you always have a bit of a different experience when you're behind the wheel of a sim racing car, don't you? It's this is one of those situations that really can get your blood boiling, and I think it's also really important in such a situation not to let that red mist descend on you, and really try to keep a cool head. Try not to get too involved in the situation, and see if you can come back and fight another day, because of course there isn't really any defending such a move at that point anyways. But the trouble is also that when there's so much traffic around, it just can be so hard to find the space on track, basically, to make everyone come through safely. So it's not always easy, and it's certainly not always as easy as we make it sound here from the country booth, something that I've mentioned on occasions before, and I surely will again. Here is Koen Klopman, currently 12th in class, 12th overall as well, and indeed we shall have a look around the other classes. Sim Racing Baggio, that is a very good call indeed. Hans Poelmans in the 999 Flemish Sim Sports yellow machine leading BLC2, that's the 911 Cup cars of course. Vince Peters in that JWS Motorsports 11 car up into second yet again after a early second pit stop with Ruben van Buel in 3rd place. Thomas Verbrugge in 4th for Eagle Race Simulators, and Philippe Fabert in the Art Sim Racing 1 machine in 5th place in class. In the BLC 3 class, the GT4s, it's Olivier Van Erck who leads Abel Koert in the Brab car. Of course, Olivier van Herk for the Tata Network Esports. And then Jeremy de Boever in the RP Motorsports by DB Racing. The number 10 machine. And a very nice livery as well on that machine. And I'll go over to Jack to take you through the standings of the TCR class.
Oh, you dropped me in it now. The TCR class, Stefan Kulbrecht is in the lead currently in that lovely looking black and lime green Audi. Behind him, he has Lorenz Glutz in second place. These guys are up 4 and 5 places. This is the CCTS Esports Belcar. Plain white on my screen. In third place, John Bruins. This is the Sim District TCR Orange by BMS Esports team. That's a nice looking car as well. The Audi doesn't look out of place here. I mean, it's the slowest class out on track, the BLC4, but you gotta say it's just as mean looking as the faster cars. As you can see it getting passed by one of the GT3 cars there. In fourth place is Jens Goosens for QSR Racing Esports. There they are in the white and green car. Luke Tice from Dynamics Racing Blue is in 5th place, the number 71 car. Kim Bayet in the Flemish Sim Sports Red. Have I said that right? What do you reckon?
It's Kim Behate.
Oh, I'm always going to get this wrong. I'm going to commit to it. Flemish Sim Sports Red in 6th place is Kim Behate. In 7th place, though, I think, I'm not sure if this is me reading this wrong, but I think this is a lap down, is Bart Livens in P7, Sim District TCR Red by BMS Esports team, and then behind them is some of the way down lapped higher classes. So that is the order for the BLC 4 class.
Brilliant. And Dieter Ertz here up into 2nd place, but closely followed by Jorn van den Akker as well. So there's a hot fight for 2nd in BLC 1. Here's Alexander Verraas in the Flemish Sim Sports white machine. He's chasing Dirk Bouts in the PSR car and has been closing in, I think, over the last few laps here. Same goes for Omori Bonduel, who's down in 6th place now, right ahead of Didier Dexters. And I think actually it hasn't been too long since we had a pass here on Mr. Dexters from Omori Bonduel. Here it comes. Oh, and that is a nicely executed move through the final 2 corners there, or into the final 2 corners. And a position gained for Omori.
Not sure how long he'd been working that one out, but that was extremely clean. He knew he had the pace in that corner, just sent it straight up the inside. They didn't even get close, and the move was done by the time he got to the exit. Very smartly executed. After a few issues for the Valkyrie Esports team throughout this race so far, but they've got the pace to get back up there, and they have got the time to do so, you've got to say. It'll be impressive if they can, with all the issues they've had. I think 6 seconds up to the next car of Alexander Raas in the Flemish Sim Sports white car. But of course, Didier Dexter's still there within the slipstream, so hoping to get, if Bonduel is faster, hoping to get pulled along and join the next group of cars up ahead. Got probably a few more pit stops later on in the race as we approach the 2-hour mark in about 13 minutes. And then it'll be the final 1-hour stint, apart from those guys who are sort of out of the normal strategy times from any incidents they've had. And then I guess it's just a big push to that finish line for the leaders. But Maxim van den Hove, GTE Racing, currently still well in control of this race, out in the lead.
And doing a very, very good job of it as well, it has to be said. Because they've avoided all the pitfalls so far, and they've kept their nose clean. But if anyone's seen the movie This Is Spinal Tap, and know the story of the drummers of the imaginary rock band that was Spinal Tap, and it's a hilarious movie for those that hasn't seen it, they all die in very mysterious, strange ways, out of the blue, all of a sudden. It's a huge surprise. And I feel like it's a bit of the same that we had with the BLC 1 lead today, and I hope I'm not jinxing anything. I'm crossing fingers. I'm saying I think they have it covered. They're in a comfortable position, and they have the luxury of a 1-minute lead. I don't think anyone's had that so far in BLC 1, or in any class indeed, so far this race. So Maxim van den Hove, they're in a very, very good position for GTE, and they'll be hoping they can see it through these last well, it's an hour and 10 minutes plus a wee bit on top of that, and it's certainly coming close to the final third of the race, which of course means we've had 2/3 of the race covered so far, and we've had a sea of action so far. It's been a great race. It's been unpredictable. It's been enthralling indeed, and I've been loving every second of it so far, Jack.
Definitely been unpredictable, as it looks like. We have a change of position in P2, so Dieter Arts, look at this, that's going to be fairly easily done, and they leave room. Didn't need to leave room as the move was done, and now they're going to slot back in behind as they head towards Sector 2. We were just talking about Alexander Ras there, as this is an onboard view. Bjorn van den Akker is on the inside, so the car is no longer on the outside, but he gives the room anyway. So nice fair racing from JWS Motorsport there. We were talking about Alexander Ras in the Flemish Sim Sports White team. He is a new driver to the Flemish team, younger brother of Christoph. Average age in the Flemish Lamborghini isn't even 18 years old. He says this Flemish team is the junior team that's fully chasing down P4 of Dirk Bouts in the PSR car, as you can see. Alexander Ras right behind him as they go into the final stadium section on this lap. Lap 65 of this 3-hour race.
Indeed, and it's moving along quickly here. The Flemish Lambo certainly looking for a move on Dirk Bouts in the PSR car here now. By the way, thanks Simracing Baggio for the nice comment as well. We do appreciate that big time. That has to be said like any other YouTuber, I guess, as we would call ourselves that in the end, since we are on YouTube and we are live. But if you do like what we do here on Simracersworld, leave us a like. And if you want to see more of the Virtual Belcar Series, or of one of the other, or many of the other great series that we have on display here on Simracersworld TV, you hit that subscribe button. And with that said, it's just over an hour left, and I feel like we haven't had the last say. And oh, look at that! Whew, that was close indeed. The 15th place Lambo at the moment is the car of Kenneth Franken in the B-Sim Racing GT3 machine. That very, very nearly got into a big calamity there. And luckily they kept it sort of clean indeed.
Yeah, just a little bit of a touch there. Maybe a slight misjudgment. I mean, the 15th place Lambo there would have seen, the second and third cars coming through, as we've got a nice little dice here. Is that contact again for the Dynamics Racing Simulators team? That was into the hairpin. We've seen a lot of contact there. Called that at the start, but I'm not going to say that that was a genius call from myself. I think it's a fairly obvious for anyone who's into racing or have seen races around this circuit. Oh, it's so tight around that hairpin. I mean, anyone could have called that there was going to be issues at the hairpin, but not too many big ones, to be fair. We've all said, we've had comment. Oh, he carried on into Sector 2. He just sort of rammed his way back past, but not like unfairly. This is hard racing, but you've got to say, maybe it's on the line whether this is unfair. But good racing is, of course, what we are seeing.
I think Jeremy Hessels wanted to say hello and thank you for last time around. And this might end in tears if they keep on battling like this and the 7 cars on the inside. Oh, that's the 86, of course. No, that's not. I'm sorry. It is the 7 car. Me getting very confused there around because they're fighting for 8th and 9th at the moment. And look at that Cedric Wouters in the Total Plan car who had that crash. They've spent their fast repair, now back on track in 10th place, but they're on the tail of these two. And I think that smells trouble for the two, because Cedric Wouters has been on top pace tonight. And he'll be wanting to make short work of the 2 cars ahead here. Now a 3-way battle for 8th place at the moment, but also a very close fight for 2nd, as Jorn van den Akker is still just half a second clear of Dieter Arts. He did get the move done before, but as we've seen on many occasions here at Hockenheim, the slipstream making it very important, or very hard indeed, to pull clear and to get away. And
I've got to say, Waters is going to pass those guys. I reckon I think he's already passed one. Crispin down back the order. Look at this, they're coming through Sector 2, so he's on the inside here. Can he hold it around the outside of this next corner? Oh, nearly going off the track is Crispin. That is in the black and go. Oh, he keeps it there on the inside, but Waters is going to hold it around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the right-hander. He is not giving up. He's holding it round. Side by side they go. This is close battling. They got Audis up ahead. You've got to say, is he going to let him have the room? He's not. Oh, free wide into the next right-hander. That's going to be tough. He's had to back out. There's a Porsche off in the gravel. There's an Audi. He's going to pass. And Cedric Walters gaining. Well, he's passed 2 Audis and he's gained the position on the Lambo of Crispin. And that's Jeremy Hessel's up ahead, who he's now going to chase down. I thought he was going to get both of them this lap, but Audi's putting a stop to that in the TCR class this time round. But now, onwards to Jeremy Hessel's in P8. Walters is going to be flying.
Bit of stuff to catch up on. That was an incredible battle that more or less lasted for half a lap there. Beautiful to see. And we've had a fair few incidents over the last few minutes here. Jürgen Gülliker has been off track, and there's been a big one here indeed.
No. Is that Jacobs again? I'm sure the JJ Motorsport, Jürgen Gülliker. What happened here? So you got
the 55 gets a touch, I think. Comes back across.
Oh, the Lambo there, a complete passenger, no fault. The 55.
And look at the number 11 here as well. Does he get involved?
No, lucky.
Oh, he gets
very lucky.
Yeah, indeed. And big contact there for Tim Jacobs.
No luck. No luck for Tim Jacobs today. That's going to be the 3rd time they find themselves in the pits. 2nd time without fast repair, which you've got to say, that means they're going to be there for a while again.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
So that, they need to sort of find, well, trying to compare them to who is that unlucky. That's some big ones they've involved in, and it was no fault of his own there. The first couple we've seen him spin sort of by himself, or that car by itself, but then, that time round, looks like a little bit of a Porsche Beamer clash. Still some close battles though. The Lambos really lighting up the action today. Not the only class out there, of course. We have seen the other classes. But always involved in the battles with this top class. It's mad. Go on.
No, I was just about to say it's been fantastic to see just how competitive the Lambos has been and just how great an addition it's been to the series as well. Not that the Radicals hasn't given us great racing as well, but they are just a little bit more fragile, and it seems like maybe also a little bit more of a special car to drive, a very hard machine to master as well. This Lambo seems to have a little bit more ease of use about it, if you will, and it's certainly been invited to some very, very, very good, very close racing as well. And look at what's going on up ahead of here as well. It's a bit of a gaggle there. It's 2 Lambos. I think it's a few Audis as well. That's the Flemish Audi of
the Lamborghini up ahead.
Yeah, indeed. Just 2 of them. Well, the question is 2 enough for a gang? I'm not quite sure.
No, but these guys might join them up ahead. We've got some Audis again getting involved. Didier Dexter's the number 86 car you can see, and that is Bonduel in the 219 car up into P4. It's going to be really interesting because I can't work out. We've got so long of this race left. I cannot work out. Oh, look at this move. It's around the outside. I got it done before turning on the next bit. Can't work out where this car's going to finish in the Valkyrie Esport team. Oh, look at this.
This is not what we want to see. Huge contact there with the Pink Panther machine. And I think that's Jeremy Hessel's. Caught out by that one as well. That was a huge shunt, I think.
Do you know what? If you can find a replay of that, watch the squirreling on the brakes for Cedric Walters. Look, you can see there, just as Hessel's moved across, it was extremely tight. And now, I mean, it's too late because that's spooked. Oh, look at that. Jeremy really done well avoiding the Porsche, but unfortunately, I think Walters was a little bit of a passenger there. I think he got spooked by Hessel's as he moved across, and then he'd already broken too late, and then the Porsche obviously hadn't seen him coming. I mean, you can't predict that always. It's unfortunate there for the Pink Panther team.
Yeah, it is very, very much so. It's not what you want to see, but it's Jeremy Hessel's was involved in some fairly hard battles over the last few laps, and I suspect that it might have gotten the better of him, that situation, because he went for the inside. But of course, when being that far on the inside, you're so far away from your regular brake markers that'll be all the way on the left-hand side of the track, with the distance markers at least. If you're not used to going that far into the inside and braking, it's very hard to gauge just where to come onto the brakes. And I think that might have been what caused both of those cars out in the situation, and the fact that they were both side by side. Oh, and Rudy Jetten has had a problem as well, I'm afraid. As we see, there's a machine.
This will be the crash.
Oh, that was the mighty Pink Panther racing machine, of course. So here we have it from their perspective. Really a passenger in that situation might have been able to see something coming in the rear view mirror, but it's not really where you look coming into the apex of a corner, is it? So fair play there.
On the plus side, Hasse, I don't think they've been involved in a big crash yet. So I think they're out the pits already. So they would have had a fast repair and they can get back out and back on track. I think. I mean, they might be able to confirm that in chat if they're watching, but pretty sure I haven't seen them have a big crash yet.
Oh, indeed. Here's Dirk Bouts, who's still trying to defend from Dieter Dexters, and Dexters with a very good run here in the Simtag E-Team86 car. Very good run through the parabolic cut and down towards the hairpin. Let's see if there's any jittery stuff going on here. It doesn't seem that way. Dieter Dexters, I think, is looking like a man on a mission, and through he goes up into 6th place in BLC1. About thinking about maybe going a little bit more defensive, but in the end doing a gentlemanly job of fighting, but not fighting too hard, and he in the process of that doesn't end up costing them a lot of time either, and that's also good for the greater race plan indeed. Pink Panther's back out, which is good to hear, good to see.
Yeah, good. Like we said, that was real unfortunate. There they are in that. So nice pink as well. Like they've really nailed the shine of that car. And then the little cheeky Panther on the side in that black bit as well. Haven't noticed that as we've got the number 99 car flashing his way through. That wasn't a rude flash. That was just, excuse me, on my way through. Maxim Vandenhove still in the lead in the number 99 car for GTE Racing. Really, as we've mentioned many times, fully controlling this now with all of the incidents that we've seen so far. You've got to say, I mean, unless they have a big one or a big incident, they are well in position to win this race today with 1 hour left on lap 72 around here in the Hockenheimring.
Indeed, the final hour beckons, and still a lot of racing left to be done, but it has to be said, GTE Racing in prime position here to take a little bit more of a calculated approach, I think, to everything from pit stops to traffic to everything in between. He'll be able to really try and minimize the risks along the way and try not to take too many chances. The pace is looking quite good at the moment. They're on par with basically everybody else in the BLC1 field, but sitting on around a minute's worth of a lead, which is a very, very good situation to be in indeed for GTE Racing in the 99 car. Further down, still close there in the battle for second, and of course that's not going to be speeding him up either way. The fact that Jorn van den Akker for JWS there in the number 5 car and the 27 of Dieter Edge, the Dynamics MD design machine, is having a bit of a just with one another here, and by the looks of it, it's Ertz who seems to be with a little bit of a pace advantage, or just maybe that the fact that the slipstream is strong enough for him to be able to hold on to the rear end of Jorn van den Akker here.
Yeah, very nice. I think this is a good time while it's calmed down a little bit, and every time I say that, someone will make a move and ruin the anecdote I'm going to say. But I've got to say, I want to say thank you to, well, obviously the viewers who are watching this race now, and there's some quite nice people in the chat, some drivers. There's someone making a move up ahead. As I said, that's into turn, where are we? Turn 2. Flash of lights and away he goes. But yeah, thank you to all the viewers. Very kind people in the chat. They're answering people's questions. LS Sim Sport, for example, asking, are all the races 3 hours long? Yes, they are, but there is one 24-hour race. The last, Rankin, 9-11. Round he goes and into the wall by himself. Yeah, the last race is around Zolder. It's a 24-hour. Thank you, Hendrik de Grave, for answering those questions. As we've got Tom Van Rompuy, you got it. Yeah, for the number 21, VR Racing. They're probably trying to get back past that GT4 Porsche now. Alexander Russ there, the number 13 car in P7 fascinating to see where these guys are going to finish. It really is. We've got another pit stop probably coming up in the next sort of I'd say few minutes. We've just gone over the 2-hour mark. So I would assume there's a pit stop phase coming up. And then that's really going to reshuffle the order. And then it'll be a final run to the end. But good to be here, Hasse, with yourself. First time for this series. Really enjoying it. Action all the way.
Absolutely so, and I can only say the same. It's nice to have you alongside in the booth. It's been an absolute pleasure so far, Jack, and hopefully you'll be able to join me for many more races from this 2021 Season 2 of the Virtual Belcar Series. Jerry Crispin here 7th overall. We've got pit stops here for Alexander Raas. Cedric Wouters in there as well. They're pretty much side by side as they come in towards the booth. And Maxim van den Hove as well, the lead car pitting in on lap 70, what is that? 73 indeed. So, but that also that makes perfect sense. They've been driving for an hour and 2 minutes. They've done that twice. The GT racing car has been keeping their nose clean, and now it's Joel Erlenbroek back in, and he's gonna be taking it all the way to the checkered flag. Let's see if anybody extends this stint, or if everybody will be coming in at the end of this lap. I expect so. Johan van den Akker is here indeed. Let's see if he takes the pit stop. I don't think it's going to make a big difference indeed, whether they take the pit stop now or if they've saved fuel to do another lap. So let's just see how that plays out. Seems like it's another lap indeed for van den Akker in the JWS car, while Dieter Ertz comes in the 27. An Omroeper duel for Valkyrie Esports X is up into 4th place, and you could see from early days both the Valkyrie Esports cars that was in very, very good form early on. They've encountered bad luck along the way. It's been an eventful debut in the Virtual Belcar Series for them. And I think they've picked up a lot of knowledge and wisdom about just how to approach these races from their first one here. And I think we better get used to seeing these cars at the head of affairs as well, because they certainly have that kind of pace about them.
Indeed, yeah. And you've got a comment there from Robin Van Gogh. Shall we have a look at some of the Audis actually in the BLC 4 class? Well, it's not a problem. We've got a few close battles in the Audi class, but not as close as we have up front. But we've got Stefan Karlbrecht, who's currently leading the class, 30th overall. Trying to see, my eyes are going blurry. I think I need glasses. Trying to see the gap. Is that a 30-second gap between the lead two?
Yeah.
Of the Stefan Karlbrecht in first place for the number 45 Sim District TCR Green by BMS Esports car. Josh Bruins is in second place for Sim District TCR Orange by BMS Esports. So I'm assuming teammates by those names, extremely similar but different colours. And Ronnie Heyman for CCTS Esports Belcar, he's in third place. Jens Goosens, you can see here, the 334 OSR Racing Esports in fourth place. And Luke Thijs for Dynamics Racing Blue is in fifth, and Kim Behait in Flemish Sim Sports Red is in sixth place. And then rounding off the field in P7 is Bart Livens, who I think is currently a lap down. And this is Jorn van den Akker, number 5 JWS Motorsport, in the pit as Bonduel carries on for Valkyrie Esport. But they are out of sync, aren't they, with all of the issues they've had so far in this race? Yeah,
that's a good point. Just checking on the lap times there through the TCR field. Indeed, Kim Behait quickly closing on Luke Thijs at the moment. Just about 2 seconds between the two. Just as the field seems to be spreading a little bit here, at least so it seems with the pit stop round. It might be closer than you would expect it once everybody is back out. But we'll have to see that. But look at this here, Kim Behait. Also a very experienced driver who's dealing with the traffic in a fine manner indeed here.
Yeah, that's actually the next Audi up the road as well. So if he can get through cleanly, there might be a change in position at some point for these Audis. So Kim Behait is chasing down P5 and P4, who are only up the road. He's in vision, the number 71 car of Luke Thijs.
Yeah, indeed. But with this amount of traffic, it's a tough ask indeed. And for the TCRs, It's very much just a question of you just have to let everyone through, and it's all the time finding your rhythm interrupted by the faster classes.
Now, they definitely can see each other now, but there is still a poor Lambo there.
Those 2 seconds, and that was actually 3 seconds a second ago, I was about to say, close very quickly, and look at Kimpe Hate on the outside now, getting a very good run. I think he's going to get past here easily in the braking zone. And very much so. That's a very, very swift change for position. That's a swift execution from Kimpe Hate in the Flemish Sim Sports Red Machine.
Didn't expect it to happen that fast, but it did.
Yeah, it did. And I was just about to say I wanted it to go on for a little longer. You know, like certain other things in life, you want some of the good things. You want to enjoy them for a bit, like a good battle in motor racing. But we didn't get to have that this time around. I'm almost wondering
if Luke Tice is monitoring an issue of some sort. Oh, well, as I say that, he goes for a look up the inside of the hairpin, but it looked. I don't know if it was just traffic management, but he looked slow on the main straight. As we see Kenny Heremans there battling with, is that Jarno behind in the number 1 car? Yes, it is.
Yeah. No,
there he is.
Jarno.
He's in the number 20 car. That must be a back marker in the number 1 car. So Jarno not far behind.
It's Kenny Heremans in the number 1
Kenny
car,
Heremans.
and it's Cimili Yagisoglu right in front of him, I think, in the 27 machine.
That's right. Got confused who was driving what car. But yeah. That means, going back to Kimpe Hate quickly, he is now going to chase down Jens Goosens for P4 in QSR Racing.
Yeah, indeed, and then he's already closed in around 2 seconds on Goosens in the QSR machine, so that is excellent work indeed from Kimpe Hate. Really getting the hammer down. And as mentioned before, that is a team who's been championship contenders time and time again. And they've won a lot as well in the TCR, so they're well familiar with the quirks and weirdnesses of the Audi TCR machine. They know how to be quick, and they certainly are. Kimpe Hate showing just that, trying to come back from rather poor luck earlier on. I think actually Kimpe Hate a little bit of an off track here as he goes in very quickly. That's not much of an off track to me. No,
it was just a bit of a slide. Done well to hold it, actually, because the car, as you were saying, that Audi can definitely be a bit of a handful. It's I'm trying to think of a better way than just saying understeering, shall we say. But, well, showing there, Kimpe Hate, that it can be oversteery as well if you carry too much speed in. But, yeah, it's one of those cars that you've got to be patient on the throttle. If you get slightly too early on that power, then you're just going to go, it really doesn't want to turn, as it is a front-wheel drive beast. I was going to say about Bodevine Kuster's team, who are currently in P2. They were in P1 for a long time, and I think we saw them. I'm trying to remember, it was so long ago now, over an hour ago. I'm sure they stopped earlier than we expected, and then they started fighting their way back through the field. But Christoph Raas in the Flemish SimSports Yellow team, 999, well in the lead of the BLC2 class in the Porsches.
Yeah, 30 seconds, but Bodevine Kuster is a very fast gentleman. And I wouldn't put it past him to be able to close those 30 seconds up to Christoph Raas. Let's see the times. Last lap, Bodevine Kuster up by a second. And he's up by a second as well. Bodevine Kuster 142 dead on the last lap. And Christoph Raas with a 143 dead on his last lap. So close indeed. Now another interesting fact. Now Omori Bonduel for Valkyrie Esports X has taken the lead. And I believe that is by not taking tires. They had a pit time of 43.3 seconds. Compared to, well, everybody else's 1 minute and 10. Or around a minute to a minute and 10. Which is fuel and tires. 43 seconds, that'll be only fuel, which means they probably won't be able to keep up the pace or maybe for that long, but I'm saying that right about now, and they're still going half a second quicker on the last lap than Joel Eulenbrook in behind. They have 11 seconds of an advantage, and that'll certainly be something we'll be following with interest as well here. Jerry Crispin has come back as well. 4.3 seconds off of the GT car as well. This is getting really, really close at the head of the Belcar 1 class, the Lambo Huracan GT3 machines. And as I mentioned before, if the trend continues, Well, this battle for first and second in BLC2, Belcar 2, the 911 Cup cars, is not going anywhere either. At least that's one to watch out for. At the moment, we've had a bit of a switching of the order as well in BLC 3 with Brab now leading, and they're leading Flemish Sim Sports Black, but only by 1.3 seconds. And I think for once, one of my predictions has come true here, and we're seeing a race as we love it the most, Jack. An endurance race that comes together at the end, and where everything closes in and the fighting really heats up in the final hour here. And I think this one might go all the way to the line, not only at the head of the overall field, but right throughout as well. And we'll be kept on our toes all the way through, that is for certain, as we're watching this pit stop.
Absolutely, and I don't know if this is just a result of the slight shortening of the race from 4 to 3 hours, but I mean, I don't watch many endurance races, but the start of this race absolutely provided way more action than well, I say action, way more feistiness than expected for a 3-hour race that they're about to begin. People trying to swap positions left, right, and centre. Normally, in this situation, like you said, it will come together at the end and there'll be a big push towards the end, but that means the middle tends to get a little sort of stagnant in a way, and that absolutely has not happened today. It's been constant. There's been accidents all over the place. There's been real tight battles, fighting in sections that maybe you wouldn't expect around here, especially the tight twisty sections, side by side all the way around, as we're here on board with Camel in the number 27 car in 8th place. Oh yeah, you're going to have to back out of that one. Turn 1 is a dodgy overtaking spot, but smart move, as he's now going towards turn 2, chasing down Kenny Heremans in P7 at the moment. They've got some Audis and Porsches up ahead. Heremans is going for the move on the Audi, and Camel is going to just sort of, yeah, just following him through. That's quite easy. He's going to give the Audi a wide berth just in case. But I don't know if he's going to be close enough now. And look at this. This is Christoph Rice passing the Audis as well in the 999 car. Let me have a look at the timing screen quickly. What is the gap between them now? 29 seconds with 45 minutes to go. Final push for everyone in all classes. I think pit stops are now done unless anyone is out of sync and had big issues. I can see a few Audis haven't pitted down in the BLC4 class. But yeah, big push now towards the end. 45 minutes to go.
Yeah, indeed. I think Kim Behate might actually have gotten past. He's up into 4th place. I think he got passed on Luc Thijs. I'm just trying to see if I can get another look at it. Oh, he's passed. They're both passed on Jens Hoosens. And I think Ben Hoosens in the pits. Behate up into 4th place. Here's the Valkyrie Esport by Franco Scham car coming out of the pits, the 667 machine. Rejoining in 5th place overall, 5th place as well in class, of course. Although that is not a given, but it is the situation currently. Top 12, all Lamborghinis. Then the first 2 Porsche 911 Cup cars here of Christoph Raas and Bodo van Kuster. A few more Lambos as well. There in Scott McFall. They're in the 145 car. They were so quick as well. They led that race and then for well a fair amount of time, and it was looking good. And then all of a sudden it wasn't anymore, as Scott McFall had his disconnect.
So unfortunate, the disconnect for Scott McFall. As you said, they were showing some real pace. The gap now up front, though, 4.6 seconds for Amaury Bunduel and Erlenbrook in the GT racing car in the Lambos. This is Kim Behate still, who is chasing down one of the GT4 cars up ahead.
And here goes Diego Hames, I'm sorry, in the number 12 car. That's for 2nd place in GT4.
Wow. Oh, yeah, there he is. We were keeping an eye on that battle, actually, so that was down into the hairpin. Didn't look too late on the brakes. It looked like a done deal. He just looks like he's given him plenty of room to have that, hasn't he? I don't know. There's no way you got confused thinking it was a GT3 coming through, but yeah. Good battling, nice and clean, and that move is done. Is he now going to follow him all the way to the end and try and get that move back? This is Dimitri Coulon. Oh, Lambo's going to go around. Oh, oh, the speed. You see the speed differences they were coming on the exit of that corner. People lucky not to hit him. How's he going to rejoin here? He's parked for a while. Nearly into the teammates. Oh, it's so painful, isn't it, watching a car trying to get back on when they're so close across the whole spread of the field.
Yeah, it's that just like that never-ending stream of cars that just keeps on coming, like a river that keeps on flowing. You'll struggle to find a gap in the water all of a sudden, and it's kind of the same situation you're fighting there. Diego Hames in a very good position, but he's chasing Thomas Stuckmans in the 84 Tita Network Esports machine. And he has done a superb drive alongside with his teammates this evening to put themselves in a dominating position so far, at least. The class act of the field, and also with remaining luck. I want to say that because there has been a lot of attrition here at Hockenheim. I think you called it actually, Jack, and you were very, very right on that point. That we have seen a fair few incidents because it's also what the track sort of invites to. It's very technical at its places, at least, and it's not always easy to find space. A few bottlenecks as well here and there. Now, standings. Well, it's still Amaury Bonduel leading. He's been doing so since the last pit stop round. But looking up, Bonduel had his last pit stop on lap 48. So while Bonduel is certainly in the lead at the moment with 40 minutes left to race, I would not be expecting Valkyrie Esports X to be the virtual leaders of this race. As someone goes around right ahead, and that's the dynamic car, I'm afraid, of Jeff van den Echten. Van den Echten has gone around in the Vapor Shop number 30 machine. Oh, and that is, I think, could very well be down to the damage, a substantial amount of damage having been sustained to their car.
We've seen a lot of loss of traction in that Lambo today, actually, in that corner. We've seen it in turn one, which is kind of expected in turn one, as it's quite a fast right-hander with the one-line approach. But just that middle sector being quite tricky, quite hard on those GT3 Lambos. But as we've said, providing plenty of action. As you said, these guys in the lead, they're going to have to probably, well, most likely make another pit stop, which means it's looking good for Erlenbrook in the number 99 GTE racing car, currently in P2, with Crispin in P3 behind.
And something isn't adding up to me here, because Jerry Crispin had a last pit lane time of 26.78 seconds, also on lap 46. So they're also off on strategy, which then all of a sudden it makes a little bit more sense to me here. They will be pitting in as well. So the number 4 car of Koen Klapman was in on lap 52. Indy Goldstein, who was in on lap 48 as well in the second of the two Valkyrie Esports. This is the Francorchamps Miniatures machine, the 667 car. And then Matthias Maas, who was in on lap 74. So
we're still waiting, really. There's 4 cars up there yet to come in. We've got Bonduel in the lead. And as you said, Crispin, Klopman, Goldstein. They're all yet to pit, but then it looks like the rest of the field have pitted around the 72 to 74 lap mark. Apart from Bodevine Guster, who pitted on lap 69, but I'm sure he will be able to make it as well. So yeah, waiting for 4 cars in, and as we say that, Crispin's in the pits.
Yeah. So as the well, as you say, there's rarely smoke without fire, and that's what we're seeing here as well. Because well, you can't run forever. You don't want to empty the tank, literally. Oh, was that contact with the garages there for Jerry Crispin? That was maybe a feeling that the stint was over a few seconds before it actually was. And a change of drivers here as Robert Janssens back into the car. Koen Klopman up into a virtual. Well, I don't know what that's virtually. He's currently third on track. But virtually, I'm looking down through, I think it's a pretty good call. I think he'll come out around 5th, but that's of course whether they take tires or not on their last pit stop here. We're closing in on the last half an hour, and the race certainly has settled down, but looking through the field and our timing screen here, see a lot of 2.5 to around 5 seconds, 4 seconds here and there, and a lot of battles that actually really could heat up in the course of those final 30 minutes here. Of course, as always, thank you so much for being with us here until now, and I hope you've enjoyed the show so far, and the jokes, good and bad. And I hope you'll enjoy the final bits and bobs of this race, as well as we're coming into the deciding moments, the pointy end of things, if you will, and the end, indeed, where everything gets exciting, really exciting, because as if I haven't been excited enough already today, I'm gonna have a hard time falling asleep tonight. It's been that good of a race, but brilliant it's been. And we have Nolan Lemeray here in the car in the Valkyrie Esports X, taking over here on lap 84 out of the pits. That was of course a shorter stop because they only have to run for about 35 minutes this time around. And that means that Nolan Lemeray is out in 3rd place.
I think Kemel's had an issue as well currently in P9. I don't know if there's an incident back there on track.
Cemil Yakisoglu here in the 27 machine, coming in hot in the stadium section, left-hander. And as so many before him, he finds that there's just a lot of cars coming through. He even gets rolling quite quickly there compared to many of the other cars that have been stationary there. Now Scott McFall, Stephen Wolf, very, very close to one another. The 65 Dynamics Race Simulators car there, there's the 146 on the inside. And they rap and they race, and no pass has done Stephen Wolf a stubborn man. He is not giving up here. He was not having that 1 second. And a little bit of a flash there, I think, for Scott McFall. Of course, he is entitled to hold his position and battle it as hard as he can, and within the limits, of course. That was close to the limits. I wouldn't deem it a crossing, but there comes another send from the 146, and there's a Porsche in there. And this time around, Stephen Wolf goes a little bit wide there. Now too wide through the left-hander here, which becomes another right-hander here at the end of the Parabolica. There's a GT4 there on the right-hand side of the track, and another Porsche Cup car to take advantage of. And all through that, Scott McFall did get past, and now having to defend into the hairpin.
That's the leader behind.
Yeah, I was just about to say Erlenbrook.
So he's trying to get past these two, battling for P13 and 14. But it looks like this has helped Scott McFall. So he's got that move done. De Wolf has let the leader by, so now he's in between them. So let's see where McFall will let Erlenbrook through. I'll tell you what is impressive is Nolan Lemeray and Valkyrie Esport X. Now that the pit stops are done and things are starting to settle down in terms of strategies, and we're going to find out who's out of sync more and more, but he's in P3. He's in the podium spots after all the issues we've seen him have in this 2.5 hours. They're in the podium spots again, chasing down Koen Klopman in P2, but they're 23 seconds ahead.
Yeah, but I think Klopman has yet to take their final pit stop, as they were on lap 52. And I'm just thinking here, 52, let's see, what have they done per stint? It's something like 36 laps. So surely he'll have to take a pit stop soon. Koen Klopman here. He'll hand over the car, I think, to Fabrice Cornelis yet again, who I believe will be taking it to the line once they have that final pit stop. Still in second place, and given that they will be spending about a minute in the pits, my call will still be that they will be out around 4th or 5th place. We had a problem for Budemein Küster here, which is a little bit of a surprise on the outside, locking up the brakes. But a very undramatic incident and a very undramatic off-track situation there for Budemein. And then another problem, I'm afraid, for Alex Baines here. So Have a look here. What happened to the 912 B Sim Racing GT4 car? Did he get clipped? Oh, he clips the car ahead there, and he himself goes onto the... Well, I think that's the escape road out there, if I'm very much not mistaken. Let's see what happens on board with Alex Baines as he taps the number 3. Finds some tarmac, so he's able to stop. That is, good. I'll tell you what, Jack, that is very, very lucky that he just so happened to be pointing towards a bit of tarmac and not just the grass there.
Yeah, got the car stopped before he hit the wall, but the number 3 car and the GT3, that was that's Steve Kleiss in the Eagle Race Simulators esports car. So he went round, didn't pop up on the screens about his issue, just said about Alex Baines, but. Yeah, GT3 class getting spun around there. This is Rob Jansen's
up the inside
car,
of Jarno de Houw and up into 6th. And we've had another pass as well here, but that's Ricardo Michalewski, who's going past one of the slower cars, though it is for positions. And Davy Suffalers and the Simtag E-Team 86 car. I don't know if he's still suffering or if he's getting into the rhythm here. But
crashed the hairpin down there in the background.
That's Rudy Yetten. I think that's the Pink Panther car again, I'm afraid. Oh!
That looked very netcodey as well. It didn't look like they were close enough for contact.
Oh, and that's Robert Janssens, who just got passed on Jarno de Houw. So this is just seconds ago, as Janssens went through on the inside, and then just a few moments later, this happens, and Jarno de Houw for Total Plan Racing just goes right through. He says, "Well, I'm not being a part of this if I can avoid it."
He gave plenty of room, and now he's reaping the benefits.
Well, what's happened here to Robert Janssens, who tries to go up the inside and touches the 27 as well, and that's 2 incidents within a very, very limited frame of time for the Fast Racing by Extreme car team. And now it's time to take a deep breath, I think, for Robert Janssens and make sure he doesn't make any more mistakes.
Frustration's being shown there.
Yeah.
I think, in the incident before.
Here's Oscar Pai in the 667 now, having taken over after their final pit stop. And one of those cars and teams as well, where you think they are certainly going to be up there on the next occasions as well. If they can just stay clear of the bad luck, which has turned out to be quite a task indeed. And we've seen it for multiple reasons. Sometimes it's been due to the so hard racing indeed, because we have seen examples of very hard racing. We've seen examples of very gentlemanly driving as well, which is always great to see. And then the oddball incident that just comes out of nowhere, especially with multi-class racing. So we've had everything, and we've had everything from heartbreaks to the big comebacks, and maybe a little bit of a surprise winner if Joel Erlenbrook and the GTE racing team can keep on chugging at it to the line. Now, of course, not much more of a surprise than, of course, GT has been up there, as they were in the BLC2 Porsche Cup car last season. They've been up there on the podium before, or thereabouts. But as I've said before, I don't recall them winning a race in the Virtual Belcar Series so far. And what a way to start the season, as we are now 28 minutes from the checkered flag.
It's getting very cozy up there.
This is getting very dicey as well with the traffic, and I'm not sure he wants to go that way around. But they're battling for position up ahead, I think, and he goes through on the Simtag 86 machine as well there. And he'll get a great run down towards turn 2. And not getting let past here. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but Joel Erlenbrook very cool, calm, and collected as well here. And it shows just why they are still in the lead place. Koen Klopman coming in here from 2nd, and let's see where he rejoins.
Yeah, so finally making that pit stop. Last pitted on lap 52. We're on lap 90 now. with 27 minutes to go. This has flown by. 3-hour race, which you mentioned earlier, actually, that some of these guys are used to doing sort of potentially 6, 12 or 24-hour races. Because I was going to say about maybe some of the drivers entering that sort of fatigue stage now where decision-making is becoming a little bit harder just because of, well, maybe a little bit of tiredness creeping in. They've been driving around this track for 90 laps, but if they're used to the longer races, then you might just say maybe it's just some poor decision-making sometimes. But it's real close racing, so you're bound to get incidents, especially when there's so much door-to-door action. But after that pit stop, we have Rob Janssens here trying to get past the number 11 Porsche. Don't want to get too close. Is that what is that? The number 11 Porsche? I've forgotten that. It's Bodvine Kuster, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
JWS Motorsport still not getting past, and really fast in that Porsche. Kuster showing a lot of pace most of the race. In fact, all the race really. And he's been competing with the lower end of the BLC1 class. But there we go. He's up the inside as we come down the main straight now. That's 4 classes all in one shot. There's some Audis in there as well. As the 999 car is holding the inside line. The Porsche GT4's tucking behind. And there's a Lambo in front giving him a nice tow, as well as the Audi back there as well down this stadium section.
And I'm just gonna mention that battle between Christoph Raas here in the 999 machines, Flimsports. Oh, a little bit of a luck up there as he goes past the 154 TCR, but does so successfully. Bodvine Kuster's shaved off just over 10 seconds, but it's taken him around 20 minutes to do so. So at this rate, Christoph Raas is looking very good, and of course nothing's over yet.
No.
And that's certainly something we've learned about this race a long time ago. It's unpredictable, and I wouldn't be one to say that I want to call anything at this time yet, because still everything is very much undecided here. Now Nolan Lemire has gone up into second place. Matthias Maas is down into third, and you have to wonder, oh, that's of course because of the pit stop. Pit stop from Fabrice Cornelis, who's actually very, very close to Maas there, and is looking to get onto the podium after a tough race. I said it would be a tough comeback to make, but onto the podium, I would consider that a comeback there from the number 4 car. They've driven brilliantly after receiving a penalty early days for being deemed the cause of a collision there by the stewards, and certainly not getting hung up in that. And they've getting their head down, and now I think if they can catch up another 2.3 seconds up to Matthias Maas, and if Fabrice Cornelis can't get his wide Lamborghini 3 or GT3 through on Matthias Maas, then well, that for me will be mission complete. It isn't over before Kuster finishes, says Hans Poelmans. That's a very good point, and that's exactly my point from before as well, because it's a fast gentleman indeed to have chasing you. That, of course, will also be putting on the pressure there to Christoph Raas, because he knows he has to perform in order not to get caught too quickly. Ricardo Michalewski still moving up the order in the ART, on the ART Sim Racing 1 machine. A very nice livery there as well, I have to say. Just misjudging turn 1 there ever so slightly. And with a damaged car, might be working a bit against him as well. The gap for Thomas Stockmans in the 84 car, down to Diego Hames, by the way, second in BLC3, the GT4s, is 37 seconds or so by now, and then another 10 seconds down to Bram Bellemans in the Brab car. And then looking at TCR, well, Flemish is now in 5th place, the car being driven by Hendrik de Grave. We've got Luc Thijs ahead, but by just over half a minute. And Luc Thijs, incredibly so, only had 1 pit stop so far in this race. So they have only had 1 pit stop, so we wonder if they are really fuel saving heavily there in the Dynamics Racing Blue machine. They're 18 seconds down on CCTS Esports Belcar, driven by Ronnie Heyman. And then John Bruins, who's in his first race today, very impressively sitting in second place for Sims District's TCR Orange by BMS Esports. And that is a very long name indeed. Led the TCR field by Stefan Kalbrecht, indeed, in the Sim District TCR Green by BMS Esports car. Yeah,
that looked really close there as the Lambo went through into that fast right-hander. This is Dimitri Coulon in the 677 car. Round turn 1, is it going to claim someone else? Round he goes. There's the... Oh, that was lucky for whoever that was leaving the pits. But yeah, unlucky for Coulon and Valkyrie Esports rookie team. Turn 1, claiming another victim with the loss of traction because of the pure speed needed to carry through there. This is another group of cars. This is Kuster under pressure. One of the Lambos behind. That's Scott McFall and Stephen DeWolf still battling. Not Stephen DeWolf, sorry. That's the 99 car of the leader. That's Erlenbrook following these guys through. So looking to just get past, I guess. Unlap himself. Overlap them. I'm losing my words all of a sudden.
Yeah, but I don't think, honestly, Joel Erlenbrook just put in the fastest lap of this race. Well, not on this lap, but on the lap before.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll be too much in a hurry to actually get past. I think he'll be more than happy to be able to enjoy the slipstream of the car of Scotty McFall up ahead. There, Oscar Pye, new fastest lap there, 1:39.562 for Valkyrie Esports by Francorchamps Miniatures. Of course, there are a point to be had for fastest lap in class, just as there was a point to be had for pole position in class. And while it is indeed dwarfed by the 25 points for victory, it is something that could have significance in the long run, and in the bigger scheme of things.
I'll tell you what also might have an effect is that Kim Bayhet in chat has said that there are 2 mandatory.
That is true. That is a good point that I have not mentioned.
So that means Stefan Kolbrecht in the Audi, currently leading the BL4 class, also needs to pit, as does John Bruin, and 4th place Luke Tice.
Yeah, and they'll do well to come in. I just have a very important point to make as well, that they'll do well to come in soon, because if I recall correctly, rules state that you have to make your final driver swap at least 15 minutes before the end of the race. So they just have a few more minutes to come in, as we got just under 20 minutes to go. 19 minutes left of this 3-hour race at Hockenheim. We're on lap 95 of the opening round of the 2021 Season 2 of the Virtual Belcar Series. It has been a blast of a race so far, and it's looking like it's not over yet entirely. All could still be to play for in TCR, as I think Ronnie Heyman and the CCTS Esports Belcar team could see themselves very, very close to the front, even though the leading 2 cars will be looking at considerably shorter stops than usual. Luke Tai is pitting as well, of course, so that means that'll be opening possibilities as well for Hendrik de Grave. Up ahead, it's still Christoph Raas, Boudewijn Kuster. And let's see, they're separated by 17 seconds. So while the gap is coming down, I think it's decreasing at a rate where I'm not quite sure that Boudewijn Kuster is actually going to be able to catch up. But it could be getting very close, so eyes kept on that battle as well. At least a bit of an outside eye there. Matthias Maas has done a very good job, I have to say, for JWS Motorsports here. The number 5 car of actually keeping Fabrice Cornelis at bay now. Of course, a little bit of traffic there, but the gap is still 1.5 seconds. And Fabrice having pitted on lap 89, but might also just have taken fuel there, and that could, of course, help them all a fair bit as well. And you mentioned earlier, Jack, that whole thing about livery spotting and also just giving a bit of mention to our favorite liveries of the race. Now, we've been looking at these cars for about 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I think we've had a fair bit of a chance to make up our mind on our preferences, our tastes, if you will. What's your favorite cars out there tonight?
Well, it's this. Well, sorry, distracted by this battle because it's getting close for this final stop. But Lambo-wise, I think I'm going to stick with the Valkyrie Esports team. It draws my eye, I think, every time we go on board with them, as we can see Oscar Pi here in the 6671. I like the way it's not symmetrical. A lot of liveries end up being symmetrical, but it seems like there's sort of chrome blue on one side, and then I think it's normal blue on the other, or that's colours reversed or something like that. It's just a real nice livery. In terms of the BLC2 class, I'm trying to think who's stood out to me.
I know what I'll say.
You're going to say Steve Klaus?
I was going to say Steve Klaus and the Eagle Race Simulators Esports P-Cup machine with that cheeky eagle on the back as well over the rear fender. That is a beautiful machine indeed. And the blue, white and yellow, indeed very, how can I say it? Birdie. It's bird colors. And it's a beautiful car. And it makes total sense compared to the fact that it's the Eagle Race Simulators team. Yeah,
and Scott McFall, I think, has just set the fastest lap with another 39.5. I'll go on to the BLC3 cars then. That one is easy for me because, it's that eye-catching. It's the Pink Panther team, has to be. It's a real nice pink. Simple, effective, bright, and easy to spot.
Well, indeed. Then I think with the TCRs, also a fair few candidates. Of course, the Flemish machines always deserves a mention. And they've certainly not gotten any worse since last time out. I see a few updates to the livery indeed, but they always very, very recognizable with the black, gold and red of the Belgian flag. But of course also in a little bit of their own rendition. The Sim District machines, also the both green and orange cars, I think are good examples of how to integrate a color into the team livery while still keeping the design, the overall design. And that'll probably be it for me. A mention as well, I think, goes to the 84, the Tether Network Esports of Thomas Stockmans, who still leads in BLC3. I think that is a very, very good looking BMW as well.
Yeah, I'll stop you there, Hasse. I think we've had an issue with Kuster up ahead somewhere. I'm not sure how big it was. Is it another turn one claim? Maybe it might be not as bad as it looks. Just a big slide, no wall contact. That is, well, he's still in the race. He's going to keep P2.
But he's not gonna get Christoph Raas with that, I'm quite sure. That's put him out of contention. Also because it will probably have cooked his tires.
You gotta say as well that Thomas
Van Hoch.
Oh yeah, around the gravel he goes. Bit of a rally driving in the front wheel drive Audi there. Yeah, Thomas Stockmans in the Theta Network Esports car, the number 84. Probably my driver of the day, or one of my drivers of the day, just because, I mean, we haven't seen it that much. We see it every now and then, but it just hasn't been involved in any sort of battling and incidents, which I don't know for them if it appeared boring from the driver's seat, but they've been leading the whole time, and now it looks like, after that spin, that they're going to take the win of this class in the BLC 3 GT4 class.
Yeah, of course. It was the spin of Bodo van Kuster we saw before, so I think that would be the win going to Flemish. But nonetheless, you are very much correct still. They have been leading for a long way in this race here, and they're 37 seconds clear of Diego Hames at the moment. Diego Hames, 20 seconds clear of Bram Bellemans in the Brab car. And then we have, closest on track, I think still a fair bit of the Lambos in the BLC1, the Belcar 1 field. Still very, very close here, just 7 seconds, both before and behind Jarno de Houw, to Kenny Hermans ahead and Cemil Yagisoglu in behind.
I saw a comment there, Hasse, about Luke Tice, who still hasn't made that second stop with 12 minutes left on the clock.
So they will be hit, and I think it's the penalty for that, I'm quite sure is pretty hefty indeed. I think it'd be a lap stop and go here. So yeah.
There he goes through, and Jelle Verstraeten, bless you. Jelle Verstraeten has had an issue as well. Whereabouts is he on that timing screen? Let's have a quick look. He's currently down in P5 in class for Greenleaf Racing. I'm not sure if that's just going to be another spin, as we've seen a few crashes pop up on our timing screens, but they've always ended up actually being quite not nasty at all. Actually, just sort of spins and stops, and then away they go.
Yeah,
as we approach a century of laps on lap 99 now with 11 minutes to go.
Indeed, coming towards the final 10 minutes of this race, and the minutes have really flown by. Of course, as the race settles in, it takes to... And no driver change as well, Kimberhate says, yeah, so that's going to be a problem for them, I am quite sure. Another problem we've had for Jelle Verstraeten here, and the Greenleaf Racing car. Oh, outbrakes himself, I'm afraid. Touches the grass on corner entrance, and that really offsets the otherwise nimble McLaren.
Those green leaves affecting the Greenleaf Racing car. It's unfortunate. Irony, I think that's called.
Yeah, Scott McFall getting past the leading 911 Cup machine. The holder of the fastest lap for the time being, but there could be a bit of competition for that title indeed, as we are now into the final 10 minutes. As we shall do our very best to keep an eye on any developing battle here. Robert Janssens is really catching up to Cemil Yagisoglu. And it has to be said that over the last lap, Yagisoglu was 0.7 of a second quicker. Here we see Yagisoglu, and there is Robert Janssens. So just how Robert Janssens will be able to catch up, that is a very good question. But they both have Keanu Borgagnon, who we've hardly even mentioned Keanu. But Keanu Borgagnon in the Flemish Sim Sports White 13 car is well steadily catching the machines in front, especially Robert Janssens. So we could see those three cars coming in together here. Oh, and Fabrice Cornell is into the pits here late as well. Cornell is coming in.
He had a crash.
Did he have a...
I can see an off track just a couple minutes ago, but I don't know. It doesn't say crash anywhere. It didn't even look like he stopped. Was it a drive-through?
Yeah, it could be incident points. No, they have 7 off tracks. There was a spin. That was a bit of a spin, but just why he comes into the pits, I'm not quite sure. You have to wonder.
He just drive through, doesn't he? I don't remember seeing him stop. Let me have a look at the pit lane time. Yeah, 31.
Pit time. He stopped for a few seconds, but only a few seconds. So it could have been a splash and dash and then move on.
Essentially.
Now here comes Borgagnon on Robert Janssens. Robert Janssens has into the hairpin. Janssens defending well, knowing that there's just 8 minutes left. So at this point, well, you do want to go defensive. Keanu Borgagnon will have to set it up. Sorry there, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love the mindset change at this point in the race. Now that there's 8 minutes left to go, everyone knows the checkered flag is coming up. So the whole 3 hours, everything you've been racing for, boils down to this moment. If you can see a car in front, you want that position. If you see him up the road, you're going to be pushing hard to try and close that gap and gain that position. And of course, if you're in the lead or holding those positions, you're going to defend as hard as you can. Now is the time where we start seeing the fighting again.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, and it's great to see battles coming back together here in the final few minutes of a race like this. It's what you love to see. And Keanu Borgagnon is on a hunt for points at the moment. And he sees not only 1, but maybe 2. And with a bit of luck, 3 cars up ahead in positions that are all within touching distance or thereabouts. Well, it's not much that has to happen up ahead for Keanu to gain a few positions here. So he'll be hoping for someone else to have a bit of a nightmare there in the last few minutes. Here's Hendrik de Grave in a calm, cool situation at the moment. Recovered to 4th.
Just seen it was a drive-through for the Lambo, the number 4 team. Drive-through penalty for a number of X's and off tracks. So that's why they came into the pitch just now when we saw them go through for Cornelis in the, well, currently in 6th place. This is them. See them now in the bright orange front. Look how dirty the cars are at this stage. You see the amount of flies on the front of that thing. It's going to need a tough wash after this race. I mean, well, these cars, it's been they've been in the wars, haven't they? Throughout. Battles all the way through. 2 hours and 54 minutes in. Lap 102. Seen many issues. I did see, well, Hendrik de Grave for Flemish Sim Sports Red in the BLC 4 class is back up into P4 after very early on. He had that, he was the victim of the rejoin, wasn't he, on lap 1, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they've done well to get back up to P4. This is Christoph Rice in the 999 car with the clever pun of a rear wing on the back. Looking fully in control of BLC 2 now after the Kuster spin. Well, they were looking in control anyway. It was going to be touch and go, wasn't it? But now it's a fairly done deal for the Flemish Sim Sports yellow team here. Coming around to turn 1, 5 minutes to go. This is Bourguignon on the inside. Into turn 2, that is. So that they're going to continue this battle down the main straight. Look at this, switchback after switchback. The number 7 car. This is Janssens, still behind. He tucks in the slipstream. That's the leader behind as well, just watching this happen. You've got to say, this run looks on. The slipstream, he's using up all of that draft. Going defensive is Bourguignon, and he goes to the outside, does Rob Janssens. He's going to try and make it stick. He gets the nose in front. He's still there. He's earned the room, and the battle continues with the Audis up ahead as they now go towards the fast right-hander, still side by side. Rob Janssens is round the outside. No, sorry. Do you know what? I've lost it.
That is Robbie Janssens round the outside.
It was
brave.
Amazing.
Bourguignon also very respectful there, giving ample amounts of space on the outside for Janssens to complete the move. Good racing here. And of course, Bourguignon knows that there are still plenty of chances to be had. Just under 4 minutes left to go.
Yeah, race isn't over yet. He's still well within the slipstream. You can see him right there. So that will continue again. Probably, well, that'll go till the end, I reckon. I wonder if Erlenbrook in the lead, he's watching him from behind. He's only a couple seconds back. There's no need for him to pass those two. I think he's just going to sit and watch. As the gap between him and Nolan in second is about 27 seconds, I believe. As this is 10th place, Davy Soffeliers in number 86 car. And that behind him is Oscar Pye. In the 667 Valkyrie Esports team, of course, with that livery. And look at this, it's getting close. Into turn 1 they go. It's not an overtaking spot. Just try and get the run that you can. Smooth on the throttle. He's got a better exit. Is he going to have a look into turn 2? We've seen this move a few times, but it's not always beneficial, as the slipstream down the back straight is obviously where the main stuff is. Yeah, so Oscar getting that move done on Soffeliers, but obviously not fighting it too hard, as now he's going to have the slipstream all the way down this nice long straight to the real tight hairpin. Here they go. How powerful is the slipstream going to be? This is Rob Janssens still under pressure from Bourguignon, going around the fast right-hander into the stadium section. I wonder, is Soffeliers going to get the move done into the hairpin? I don't think they did. They would have entered it by now. So Oscar keeping that position as well. 2 by 2 they go, as there's a McLaren getting involved in that battle for 10th place. This is for a top 10 finish. The McLaren gets out the way, and Rob Janssens still in the lead. He looks like he might be pulling actually a little bit of a gap. Yeah, look at the gap now for Rob Janssens. So he's flying. Is the fast racing by Extreme Kart team, Flemish Sim Sport White, trying to chase down and hold on to that slipstream, but Rob will be pushing as hard as he can.
And watching it all, Joel Erlenbrook here coming in to the final 2.5 minutes of racing here. And they know now, the GTE Racing boys, that they just have to complete a few more laps. And that'll be 2 more laps even, just before they see the checkered flag waved ahead of them. And it will be glory if they can keep it running for those 2 more minutes.
Only 2 minutes to go, so we must be approaching well, there's going to be at least 2 more laps left. Belgian Magic says, please don't say he's suffling again. I'll be honest, I've been trying to avoid that joke again because it hurt my own ears. But we've had a few we've had a few puns out there. We've had the suffling joke. What else have we said? Scott McFall, he fell out the session, didn't he?
Yeah, and bad luck, ill fate has befallen upon him.
Yes, Hendrik de Grave, his grave was dug pretty early on with the crash. So we've had a few. We have had a few, but yes, we are approaching the final minute. That's enough puns. Final minute now. This is the 911 car. Oh, he's gone on the grass. Gets that back on safely. Oh no, he didn't get it back on where I thought he would. He's still
gets
going.
off camber on the grass there, and then the car just won't turn in, but he finds the little bit of a escape road and uses it to get back on track there. So that's nice to see. So Faliers in the 86 car did get passed indeed by Oscar Paya. Just another look at that overtake. That's into turn 2. That's just as it was seen before, but just from a bit of another angle here. Safely done.
It says at the top there, I think it's Christoph Rice that's in the car, but it says in the lead of the BLC2 class is Polmans is the poleman.
Oh yeah, it's when we have driver swaps and I have to reset the class display, which of course I forgot doing. So white flag waved here, and that means Erlenbroek is just about to come home. 10 seconds left. It'll be the final lap. He's down towards the hairpin here. And I think he's taking an easy lap here.
He had a nice view of that battle up ahead, didn't he? But it looks like that's a done deal as well for 8th and 9th place. Cracking drive for Joel Erlenbroek, 99 GTE Racing. It's been fairly quiet for him in the later stint of the race. Mainly just due to everybody else sort of tripping over themselves.
Yeah, but
Nolan, go on.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say it was Maxim van den Hove who put himself through there and stayed cool while everybody else around him was faltering and making mistakes. That's really put him into the position. But of course, with the work from Joel Erlenbroek, keeping up with the very head of affairs as well throughout the first stint. Into the stadium section he goes, and to pick up the first win for GTE Racing of this season, the first win in general. It has been a brilliant drive from both of them. And what a well-deserved win for the 99 car here at Hockenheim. And what a perfect way to start the season here for GTE Racing, who checks the checkered flag. And incredibly so, I think Nolan Lemeray, who's still got a bit of ground to cover, is gonna finish in 2nd place. Incredibly so. Here comes Christoph Raas, who takes the win as well in BLC2 in the 911 Cups. The 999 machine gets the win here. And what a beautiful drive it's been for them as well. While we've already got Thomas Stockmans and the Tata car out there doing donuts. And Olivier Bultink is coming towards it as well. And here is Nolan Lemeray crossing the line as well. What a fight back for 2nd. And Matthias Maas, JWS, the number 5 car, having flown pretty much. Oh, someone's off on the inside there. And Matthias Maas, did you see that? Taking a very cautious approach. Yeah. And hugging the outside of the corner all the way through. He said, please don't hit me. He didn't. And the checkered flag is waiting for you, mate. There is a podium place in store. Brilliant drive, indeed. Hermans gets 4th ahead of Jarne de Houw for Total Plan, ends up in 5th place. Cornelis and Simtag E-Team, the number 4 car, gets 6th place on the day, ahead of Robbe Janssens, although that battle isn't really over yet. Look at that, it's Jimmy Lukio into the final corners. And what is happening here? Janssens, he's out of fuel. Oh! Robbe Janssens is out of fuel on the final lap into the final bend. Borgagnon well passed, as well as Yagi Soklu. And that's incredible. That's this race has had absolutely everything. Look at that. Robbe Janssens, will he even be able to make it to the line? No, I think he's stalling here. And you can see the checkered flag wave. Yeah. Come on.
waving it in his face. I've forgotten the flagman's name.
Robert, come on!
He's trying to go. Go on board with him. Let's have a look and see if he gets across that line. He's still rolling. It's going slightly downhill. Look at this. 13 kilometers an hour. Can he do it? Rob Jansen's in the number 7 Fast Racing by Extreme Kart team. The finish line is right there. He's rolling as there's still cars going round. He pitted on lap 83. This is purely a miscalculation, and across the line does Rob Jansen in the number 7 car. Just about
incredible.
Make it to the end. Amazing stuff.
By the way, Robin van Gogh in the second of the Sim District TCRs gets second for TCR ahead of Ronnie Heyman for CCTS Esports Belcar, and then Hendrik de Grave, Flemish Sim Sports Red, managing a 4th place after a tough start indeed. What a race it's been! What a race we've had here tonight. It's been fantastic indeed. And we have some results on screen indeed. And we'll take them class by class. And I will start out with the Lamborghinis of the BLC1 class. Of course, winning GT Racing the 99 machine ahead of Valkyrie Esports X in the 219 car. JWS Motorsports gets 3rd ahead of PSR Total Plan Racing Simtag E-Team number 4. Dynamics MD Design in the number 27 car, and Flemish SimSports White both managing to pass a very, very stricken number 9. Fast Racing by Extreme Kart was moving extremely slowly there on the final lap. Valkyrie Esports by Francorchamps gets 10th ahead of Simtag E-Team, that is, sorry, a little bit of environmental damage for me there. Simtag E-Team, number 86 car in 11th ahead of VR Racing 12th. Sim District GT3 by BMS Vibe Esports in 13th place. And Dynamics Racing Simulators in 14th. BSim Racing GT3 15th. And then Valkyrie Esports Rookie in 16th. And then rounding off that field, the very unlucky souls of Vaporshop RDR Motorsports in the number 30 car. And with that, over to Jack for the results in BLC2.
Yeah, so BLC2, here they come. So we've got 6 teams up there. We've got the Flemish Sim Sports Yellow team, number 999. The winners today of the 2nd class. JWS Motorsport, number 11 car, only 15 seconds behind in 3 hours of racing. So a cracking effort from them. Optica by Dynamics is in 3rd place, the number 32 car, 1 lap down. Joining them on that 1 lap is Eagle Race Simulators Esports. They were also 1 lap down. In 5th place was Sim Formula Europe, the 24 car, were 2 laps down, and in the end, ART Sim Racing 5 laps down overall.
Indeed, brilliant. BLC3 and the results coming up here. The 84 machine of Tita Network Esports winning by 41 seconds down to Flemish SimSports Black in the number 12 machine, and Brab in the number 9 car getting a podium finish here. RP Motorsports by DB Racing in 4th place ahead of Greenleaf, who's a lap down. B Sim Racing GT4 in the 912 car there, 6 ahead of Decipit Racing Team, who are also very unlucky on the opening lap of the race, and despite of that only finishing a lap down in the end, so actually a pretty good fight back from them. The mighty Pink Panther Racing 48 car, good looking but with bad luck today, ending up 8th in class ahead of RP Motorsports and JJ Motorsports in 10th.
Yeah, so the final class then, BLC4, again another smaller field, but you've got 7 cars out there, 7 teams. Sim District TCR Green by BMS Esports were your winners, the number 45 car. In 2nd place was the same team, different colour, Sim District TCR Orange by BMS Esports. 1 lap down, CCTS Esports Belcar 132 are in 3rd. Flemish Sim Sports Red, the number 69 car in 4th. 5th was QSR Racing Esports 334. The 6th place, Dynamics Racing Blue, the number 71 car, and 7th place, rounding off the field, 3 laps down, was Sim District TCR Red by BMS Esports.
Absolutely brilliant indeed, and what a race it's been. I think it is time for us to have a few interviews coming in here, and we can just get the... There it is. Thank you. Interview time, of course it is, and we've got some race winners to chat to. Now let's just get him in the booth. And first off, Hans Poelmans. Hans, welcome in.
Hello, Hasse.
The 999 car finally getting a win in BLC2. How does that feel?
It feels great. We had no idea what happened to Mr. Kuster, and we were very surprised that he entered the pit very early. I came to know that he had the wrong setup with a bit less fuel in it, so that explained why he needed to pit early, which was our benefit. And then he had some issues later on. Some minor incidents at the end of the race caused him to be still 15 seconds behind us, so we got lucky.
Yeah, indeed, and a very attritional race there in the end. Did you expect that kind of race here at Hockenheim, or weren't you expecting something a little more orderly, as we saw the start down in the Porsche Cup car class there? Very chaotic indeed.
Yeah, I didn't actually know what to expect, to be honest, because the Lamborghini is a new car and it's faster in the corners, but it's slower on the straights, so it's interesting to drive around them.
Indeed, and with a win here on the opening round, it puts you in a perfect position for the rest of the championship here, Hans. How are you going to be approaching the next rounds of racing here?
Well, like we do all the time, just be cautious and try to do our laps and survive.
Well, indeed, that sounds like a viable plan to me. Ladies and gentlemen, Hans Poelmans and the winners of the BLC2 Fast, the 999 car. Of course, Hans, before we let you off and enjoy the evening and the victory indeed, is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Yep, big shout out to our sponsor, new this season, Viraco, who does racing simulators, for sponsoring the entry fee for us. So it's a big win for us, and we hope to continue to work with them throughout the season and maybe next season as well.
Indeed, beautiful. Thanks for joining us for the interview. It was a pleasure having you along, and congratulations indeed.
Thanks.
On the race win.
Till next time.
Till next time, mate.
Bye bye.
So that was Hans Poelmans, and I'll leave you in the capable hands of Jack Johns, who will be joined by our winners, overall winners of the race. Of course, that is Maxim van den Heuvel, and that's Joel Eulenbroek as well.
No worries. So here they are, Van den Heuvel and Eulenbroek. So the Lamborghini field was extremely close, as we saw. I'm sure. Well, you guys must be extremely happy with a race like that. And in the end, a dominant win after many clashes. Well, not yourselves, but everyone else sort of tripping over themselves. How was the race from your guys' point of view? How do you feel?
We are very happy with our race. And we drove very cautious, no crashes, a few off track, so yeah, it was a good race for us.
And in the practice sessions and qualifying session, like we weren't really confident with the setup of the car, but like the last 10 minutes of qualifying, I managed to put in a decent lap. And like from the start on, like the main goal was to keep on with the front guys. And as soon as we were lapping the slower classes, it was all about traffic management, keeping those consistent lap times in. But I think we did pretty well.
Absolutely, yeah. Traffic management, obviously a key skill in a race like this, and that's actually where some of the other teams sort of fell apart. And you would never have guessed that that you guys, as you say, were perhaps maybe struggling for pace in practice, because you just looked completely in control of the car. And the race, after sort of pit stops had sorted themselves out, was pretty much yours. I mean, Nolan Lemeray for Valkyrie Esports was back in second by the end, but surely with that gap, you knew that it was in the bag pretty early on, or did you think that he could have caught you?
Nah, we were just cruising at the end.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. So, well, a great start though, round one, and a win in the bag. So how are you going to change your approach going forward? I guess not, because you haven't done anything wrong today. What's it going to be like for the next round?
We're gonna do some practice for the next rounds, like we did for this race. Nothing much extra, I think, and nothing more or less.
Perfect. That's a perfect response. As usual with these interviews, before we say goodbye, obviously thank you for joining us and congratulations again to both of you on the win. Is there anyone you want to say hello or thank you to before we let you go?
Maybe I want to say thank you to the sponsors and the whole GT racing team from real life also.
And you, Limbert?
Well, pretty much to all the sponsors.
Same thing. Thank you very much for joining us, guys, and congrats again on the win. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So from a few winners to another winner, here is the BLC3 winner. Of course, GT4 BMW there is Thomas Smets. Thomas, welcome to the booth. Thanks for joining us in here for an interview, and congratulations on a brilliant race win here. Opening race, first win, and a perfect start.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a bit unexpected because the guys from Flemish Simsport are very fast, and they had a problem. I don't know what happened. Something went wrong with the pit stop, and yeah, we just got lucky today. I don't think we could have made it without that. So yeah, just a bit lucky in the end.
Well, as in all sports, sometimes you need luck on your side, and I think a lot of souls found themselves unlucky in tonight's race as well. Coming into the next few races, are you going to change your approach in order to try and gain a little bit on of competitiveness on Flemish, knowing that you're now ahead in the standings?
We're just gonna do our own pace and just see how it goes. Just every round, just trying to be on the same pace as them and try to keep in the same time zone. Yeah.
And also the BMW is known for being a bit of an understeery machine, but you seem to have that nailed down pretty well, and you were very consistent out there tonight. Was there any secrets of the setup, or was it just a lot of practice for you?
I don't know. It's basically a lot of the baseline setup. It's based on the baseline, so and just a lot of practice. I practiced a lot this week, and I felt pretty good with the car. So yeah, that helped a lot.
Well, Thomas, they say practice makes perfect, and it was a perfect win today. Congratulations, and before we let you enjoy it, is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks or a shout out to while you're here?
Yeah, for sure. Especially Olivier, thank you for riding with me. Very clean stint, no off tracks. Taylor Network, Andy and Ronald for organizing this fun championship. And of course you guys for the broadcast.
Well, thank you, Thomas, as well. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the talk, and we'll let you off the hook to enjoy the victory, mate.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers. And that was Thomas Smets. We have one more race winner to talk to. I'll leave you with Jack Johns, who's going to be having a chat with Olivier Bultink.
Olivier, welcome to the interview room and congratulations on winning BLC 4 class in the Audis. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I have to say a massive thanks to my teammate for a great run.
Everyone sounds so calm after this 3-hour intense race. What was it? I mean, the Audi field ended up being pretty spread out in the end. Did it feel like a dominant race from your end, or did you have any issues that you had to deal with throughout? How did you feel during the race?
Well, the start was a bit tricky because sometimes it's all packed up and then you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And, I tried to stay as calm as possible and just try to drive my lines and do a good stint. So
Yeah,
my teammate Stefan had a more easy stint for him. So it worked out pretty okay.
Yeah, this is one of the things actually. We speak about traffic management quite a lot, but normally when talking about the faster classes, obviously making their way through, but we rarely look at it from the point of view of the lower classes. So what was it like from your perspective? How do you deal with it when you've got the other classes obviously battling their own fights and coming through. Do you make it sort of, are you aware of where they're going to try these moves, or are you just always extra cautious in case someone makes a dive when you're not expecting it? How do you deal with the traffic as they're coming through?
Well, I try to look as much as possible at their relatives, so I can see which class car is coming. But yeah, it's always not easy because the Lambos are really dive bombing.
Yeah, the Lambo is very, very good on the brakes, but sometimes thinking that they're too good on the brakes. But there wasn't too many issues actually today. There's a lot of good drivers out there across the field, 40 drivers out there in total. But obviously you guys coming out on top in the BLC 4 class. Now the Audi, Hasse mentioned it about the BMW in the class above, but understeer is the word that comes to mind with this car. How have you come to grips with that? When I last drove this car, it was very much about patience on the throttle. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's still the case. You just need to have a big rotation under the brakes, so the car already rotates before you have mid corner, so you can accelerate more straight.
Perfect, and a flying
For me,
start.
that's the key.
It is the key, of course. Getting it. We've seen a few people actually over rotating. There's a few slides that people caught out there in the Audi cars. A perfect start to the season. Round 1, a win. Going forward, nothing really to change, is there? Are you going to keep the same mindset?
We will try to do our best every race and give it all. And just the most important thing is to have fun, just to enjoy it.
Of course, that's a really good way of looking at it, of course. And as usual with these things, before we let you go, obviously congratulations on the win again. Is there anyone you'd like to say hello to or say thank you to before we let you go?
I want to thank the BMS team. I want to thank my teammate Stefan for all his effort and his great stint. And I want to thank Sim District as a sponsor. So
perfect, thank you.
A massive thanks to them and to make this possible.
Good, thank you very much, Olivia. It was good talking to you. Congratulations again, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
So, Jack, with the interviews done with and over, and a few words from our race winner, I think it's also time for us to sum up what we've seen tonight here. And in fairly few words, how would you summarize the last 3 hours of racing that we've just witnessed here?
Organized chaos.
In 2 words, and he comes up with such beauty. Organized chaos. Well, I couldn't get much closer to that myself, could I? It's been exciting, it's been unpredictable, and that's how we like it best here at Simracersworld TV. It has been an absolute pleasure having you all along for the broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and we do hope that you will be joining us soon in the future indeed. If you like what we've done here tonight with the Virtual Belcar Series, then do leave us a like on the video, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more here on Simracersworld TV. Now, with that said, my name is Hasse Rømer. I've been with Jack Johns tonight. It has been our absolute pleasure to have you along for the broadcast, and we're now at the concluding end of things. All that remains to say is that until next time, I wish you all the best. Take care, have fun, and bye-bye.
It doesn't really matter.